What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast. Shout out to everybody already gathering in chat. Shout out to all the beautiful people. It's been it's another awesome, amazing Saturday, man. Shout out to everybody. Hopefully, you guys are having fun hanging out in chat. But we got a great show lined up. We got an awesome guest. We got Living Screen Part 2 today to version 2.0. The boys couldn't cook this morning, man. We had the internet providers hating on your boy. You know how that goes, still Pong. So we gonna
Thanks.
we're gonna get it going today. But man, we got a lot to talk about. It's been an amazing week. Had some big games come out. I'm sure Pong got a lot to say about a particular one.
You already know we do.
Right?
Maybe.
I'm gonna let that boy gonna cook. I'm letting you have that one. I'm hands off the steering wheel today for sure. But shout out to everybody in chat. Once again, retweet the link, man. This is the best place to be on Saturday evening, man. Please retweet, share it out. Let everybody know the Shop Podcast is live, man. But let me get to our guests, man. Like I said before, if you guys don't know him, you already see the logo. I think he's getting that changed actually pretty soon.
I'm looking. I want to get an official character made.
Okay. I've been seeing I've been seeing the pictures though. Still, I like the logo change and some of the other stuff he's cooking up over there. But yeah. But yeah, let's go ahead and roll out the red carpet for the man Steel Rain. Let everybody know where they can find you, Steel.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the beautiful people, when I'm not having internet issues, you can definitely find me every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, and 3 p.m. UK time on a special little channel known as Living Split Screen. It's a non-console-centric platform, We like to talk about everything that's going on with the industry, not just sometimes, this topic's not for me. No, I like to give my opinion, and I know Palm does too, on everything that's going on within the industry. But yeah, nonetheless, I am the one and only Steel Rain, and Armor Core 6 is game of the year.
Look, see, already throwing that ring in the hat early, people. So we make sure you guys clip that too, just in case you want your receipts for later on to cook his ass.
Definitely,
just in case it doesn't end up being game of the year. But now, shout out, man. Appreciate you still for coming through. Like I said, we had to let you cook because you was getting hated on by the internet provider. So we had to let you get your bars off today. We got a lot to talk about, people. It's been a big week, huge stuff. But I got these two awesome other individuals here. My two right-hand man, my brothers. Man, we're going to start with you, Mr. Pong. So, man, once again, did not get to cook this morning on Living Split Screen, but we back another Saturday evening, brother. How you been this week, man?
Man, oh man. First of all, PTK, I appreciate you getting Steel in here so we can have a condensed version of Living Split Screen, because let me tell you something. Yeah, because the Saturday mornings that don't start with Steel and I going on for about 3, 4, or 5 hours just don't feel right. My whole day was thrown off here. So it's nice to see him here. It is spectacular to see him here. So thank you for that, PTK. I do appreciate that. Man, what a week. What a week. Another month and another game of the year contender just drops. I can't believe we talked about this last year, what this year was going to look like. And we talked about how this potentially could go down as one of the greatest all-time years, if not the greatest all-time year, if everything hit.
And it's even better than that.
The fact is, it's over with. You could end it right here, even without Starfield and Spider-Man 2 dropping. And you could argue that this year is already the greatest year of all time for video games.
Crazy.
This is absolutely spectacular. So my week obviously was playing Diablo season 1, getting it in with the boys. Obviously we had to do that. But then Baldur's Gate 3 dropped. I took off Friday to make sure I had a full day of gaming with this. I played the preview build. You guys probably remember me talking about it here. I was playing the preview because I did pre-order it. I told you guys back then that I thought this had Game of the Year quality written all over it, even for a CRPG classic style game that everybody considers niche, that genre. Let me tell you something. Larian Games absolutely have crushed this genre. Once again, Divinity Original Sin 2 was phenomenal and something that anybody that's enjoying this game should go try, even if this is your first game in this genre. But let me tell you something. When we talked about 400 devs, when we talked about a AAA budget for this type of game that we just don't ever see like this at all. Like, this is like a long forgotten genre. Like, yeah, we get AA versions all the time, but nothing to this scale and scope and grandeur. And They knocked this out of the park. This will be my game of the year leading into Starfield. Before I get my hands on Starfield, I can tell you that right now. Diablo 4 obviously was my game of the year up to this point. But going from the preview to the full release has been eye-opening. The amount of work put into this game, the amount of details, the amount of strategy, every single little thing down to just the environments, the atmosphere, the sound, the music, the voice acting is all AAA. This game deserves all the flowers it's getting right now. It's shocking me how many concurrent players there are on PC right now. It broke over 700,000 today. It's approaching obviously Harry Potter levels here.
Yeah, that's
Hogwarts
insane.
Legacy. I always call it Harry Potter, but it's Hogwarts.
Yeah, right.
Hogwarts Legacy. It's approaching those numbers and could break those numbers here shortly because the more people jumping into this game, it's that ripple effect that we saw with Elden Ring, that we saw with Hogwarts, that we see happen. The fact that this is happening with a CRPG is blowing my mind right now. And I could not be more thrilled because this sets the tone going forward. This is a part of the reason why I call this the golden age of gaming. We've got the return of RTSs, and now we've got seemingly a return to CRPGs. And I hope, PTK, I hope that all the higher ups over at EA are seeing this and understanding what they did to Dragon Age and what they could have had with Dragon Age had they not decided that nobody wants to play turn-based games anymore. Had they not decided, oh, that's dead now, we got to get more action RPG going. Had they truly actually leaned into what made Dragon Age a great franchise, this is what you could have had, EA. But you chose not to do that. So once again, this is another L on your part. And don't me, Steel.
I don't know about that, Pong. The only reason I say is because it still takes talent to put together a great game.
But that's why the talent left Steel. That's why the talent left Steel. Because that's what they were doing to their franchises. They chased the talent out of their franchises over at BioWare. That's what EA did, because that was the mode EA was in back then. I will say some lights have gone on over at EA. They figured some things out.
That's what I'm saying is that's
a whole lot of Vince. They got lucky with Vince. But what I am saying right now is this what you could have had, because they had the team, Steel. They chased the talent out, right? So the fact is that I am excited for this. Not that we're going to see this level of AAA quality games for CRPGs just start pouring out everywhere. Yeah. That's not going to happen. It's just a simple fact. It's too big of a risk for a lot of these people. But this definitely will open some eyes. This definitely will create some new opportunities. And let me tell you something, Larian is going to be at the forefront, because now with this success, they already said they're going back to Divinity Original Sin. Do you think they're going to go back to Divinity Original Sin and go back to 40 people making Divinity Original Sin after they got the success from this one? No
way.
Chances are we're going to get a nice big giant Divinity Original Sin 3 out of them.
You can see some Insomniac explosive growth from them. This. You know what I mean? Like it's that big of a game, and I like. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. It's transcending the genre.
Yeah.
This is what you need. This is what Elden Ring did with the Souls.
I was gonna say.
This is exactly what it did to the Souls franchise. This is doing to the CRPGs. And again, it doesn't mean we're going to have a huge explosion of AAA games, but what it does mean is more people are going to take a chance. Let me tell you the other company or two companies that are developers that are going to potentially have a windfall from this. Obsidian and In Exile. Both of them have franchises, established CRPG franchises.
Yeah.
Both of them have to be looking over, and I know Josh Sawyer came out and he was one of the ones that said this is an anomaly, but they both have to be looking over and looking back at Phil. Phil, you seeing these concurrent players on PC? You seeing these record-breaking numbers? We got Wasteland. We got Pillars of Eternity. Give us a little bit more on the next go-around. We can do this too. Both of those teams are just as talented as Larian are, and I believe they both could come into the CRPG after, on the tails of this success, come back into the CRPG world with Wasteland and Pillars of Eternity and bring us some big titles as well. So I am pumped. This game is spectacular. It's worth everything that everybody's saying it is. It's not going to be for everybody. There's a lot of brand new people jumping in, just like they did. The non-Souls players jumped into Elden Ring too, right? This is what that's causing. We're going to get some new fans out of this. There's going to be some people who find out they still don't like this genre. But at the end of the day, this is a huge win for the gaming industry. Again, anytime you see this kind of niche genre flourish with a kind of defining moment, a defining game, that's better for everybody in the gaming industry. And Baldur's Gate 3 is doing that. Shout out to Larian Games for that. Sorry, I went really long there.
No. It's all good, man. No. Once again, we're gonna get into that. I had to let him cook, man. You gotta let the pressure cooker valve open a little bit before we get into it. For real, but we're gonna dive into it. Shout out to everybody in chat, Lady, Foxfire, Louise, Calorie, everybody. Once again, retweet that link out. Let everybody know the Shop Podcast 313 is live today, man. We might have another guest too falling through. You never know. I did reach out and get some feedback, so we shall see if he actually drops in. But shout out to everybody. Now, let's go ahead and throw this over to my other co-host, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere. How you doing, brother? What you been up to this week?
Oh, I'm doing great. What's up, everybody? So glad to be here. Been playing a lot of Forza Horizon 5, GT7, my usual, with Division 2. Still, every now and then piddling around out in DC for that, and then playing Diablo, but trying to hold off a little bit until the patch next week. But man, Twitter, or the app formerly known as Twitter, has been nothing but comic relief as of late, with people jumping out of windows as far as why certain games don't have demos when they're going to be available 5 days later. But we'll get into that and a whole bunch of other stuff. But glad to be here. Glad we got Steel on here. It's going to be Living Split Screen Evening Edition. So let's do it.
Man, let's get into it, man. Shout out to everybody watching live, man. Appreciate you all coming out, being with us. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here at the Shop Podcast, man. Appreciate you all. But let's dive into it, man. And we're gonna start with the poll of the week, man. I have been foregoing this thing for a couple weeks because we had so much to talk about. But this week, we'll just dive right in. And shout out to the almost 500 people who voted, man. Once again, if you want to be a part of that, go ahead and follow me below on Twitter. All that information is down there. You can just be a part of that on Monday. I post it, and we talk about it here every single Saturday, man. But this poll of the week this week was specifically about Xbox going to Gamescom and essentially their special year. Aaron Greenberg coming out saying that this is going to be a special year for the brand at Gamescom. So I gave a couple options, and what are we most likely to see? So I gave a few. I know one was kind of way far off, and I didn't realize it until I posted, but Starfield demo, Stalker 2 demo, Xbox Family Plan, Towerborn demo. The Stalker 2 demo won 50%, so about half exactly voted for the Stalker 2 demo. So we're gonna start with our guest here, Mr. Steel Rain. I don't know if you voted on the poll. If you did not, okay. Well, what was your choice then, brother?
Because all of them were kind of, at least for me, were kind of like, I think we're going to see all of these things. But I think the one that really stuck out to me was the Stalker 2 demo, just because they've hyped that up, and it's an astounding thing to see and hear what that team has kind of been going through over the years, especially with the war that they were in. Yeah. And me and Paul had this kind of little bit of this conversation the other night, just kind of behind the scenes, where I was just like, I'm so impressed, more so if we get that Stalker 2 demo at Gamescom and they end up releasing that game still this year. That's going to speak leaps and bounds for myself. Like, I'm at the point where I'm more willing to just put down the Ducats. I've never played Stalker, but I'm down to put down the Ducats just because of what they've been through and the dedication. I imagine that was an escape for them. Not saying that in a bad way, but like I was explaining to Pong, I feel as though because it was kind of an escape for them, that they probably put their heart and soul into this game, right? For it to be as best as they can. I mean, they've lost some of their teammates. Some of them have left and actually joined the war. So it's just like, there's so much that's riding on this game. I'd imagine for them emotionally, personally, and just from that studio, especially from Stalker, that game came out such a long time ago.
Yeah.
And to be coming back out with Stalker 2, I think that demo is going to be something that's really going to be special at Gamescom, and hopefully it'll stick out. That's what I'm gonna put my neck out there.
Yeah. so much quality, bro. Like, and once again, we haven't seen much since we saw it last, but you gotta understand. Like I said, it's one of them games that has a cult following, big on PC. A lot of people are looking forward to it. Obviously, the game was a little bit left field. The developer, they've literally been through hell, and I literally mean hell. You know what I mean? Essentially war, but. It's crazy to see that this is actually going to be something that we're going to see. That would have actually been my first choice as well. That was the one I picked as well, was a Stalker 2 demo. This is a game that I wanted to see. I'm like you still. I haven't played a Stalker, so I don't even know what to expect. But what I saw looked amazing. Gave me Metro vibes, heavy Metro vibes. You know, a whole lot of Metro, BioShock-esque. You know, I don't know how close I am with the gameplay, but definitely something I think that I would get into or at least attempt to play. But yeah, let's throw this over to you, Pong. I don't know, Pong, have you played the first Stalker?
Yeah, I did back in the day on my buddy's PC. Right. I played the first one. I actually rebought it on that last Steam sale, the Steam summer sale too. So I'm planning on hopping back into it again because it was so long ago. And there's so much to that game that I forgot. Yeah. So I'm definitely gonna hop back into it again. But yeah, no, Stalker 2, since it was announced, this was an easy answer, right? And so was Towerborn, right? So we know both of those are going to be there this year. I was hoping that Starfield would be on the floor. It sounds like it's not going to be there. They could surprise, but you know, again, that was just on a whim, something out of left field that I thought maybe could happen. It's totally outside of the MO. Of Todd Howard and the Bethesda A team to do something like that. They've never demoed their single player RPGs at all, despite what some people in this community would have you believe that this is like not normal. Yeah, no, this is normal. So again, Stalker 2, the fact that they're going to show up there again, I'm not holding my breath for this year. I want them to take the time necessary. I don't want them to rush it. Obviously, they've been through so much, and obviously they want to get this game out because it's going to help them. It's going to help their families. It's going to help a lot of people. I just want this game to come out the best it could possibly be. And if they need more time into 2024, I don't care. Go ahead and take it, GSC. Take it all you need. But I can't wait. I can't wait to hear people reporting from Gamescom, some of the videos, some of the screenshots, man. I can't wait to see what this thing is looking like, what people's impressions are of it. I know there's going to be people.
Another one?
Yeah. I know there's going to be people there at Gamescom that have played the old Stalker, so I can't wait to hear people how they think that it feels in relation to the old Stalkers, which were a long time ago. So obviously it's going to feel a lot different, a lot better. But just as far as decision making goes, RPG aspects, all that good stuff, I can't wait to hear all the reactions. So yeah, no, Stalker 2 is the one I'm looking forward to. I'm also looking forward to Towerborn. Same. No doubt about that. That's going to be a cool game. Right up my alley. Love the look of it. Love everything about it. So yeah, co-op, absolutely. So I can't wait to see that one too. But Stalker 2 is definitely the one that's got my.
And I hear, speaking of Towerborn, I hear that game is actually larger than people think it is.
Yeah, it's going to be It's going to be a games as a service. They're going to continue to add to it. So it's going to continue to get new areas and new stuff. Yeah, all the time. So yep.
All right. Awesome, man. Glad to hear it, man. But yeah, that Towerborn was actually my second choice as well, too. That's another game that I was super interested in, especially after the showcase. That's definitely my type of game. It's going to be on Game Pass as well, too, I believe, right, Pong?
Yes, sir. Of course. Yes. It is one of their third-party partnerships. So, yep, that will be coming into Game Pass as well.
Awesome. Yep. We'll all get to play that. That's awesome. That's amazing. Game Pass, FTW, as usual, right? That's getting pretty normal. That's starting to become a normal thing, Pong. But let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, man. Which one did you pick, brother?
Oh, I went with Stalker 2 demo as well because I figured that would be like the bigger surprise prior to them making any announcements or anything like that. I figured that would be the left field kind of thing, and it, considering that this is going to be their biggest Gamescom ever, and after the relocation for a part of the dev team and things like that, I figured, well, this will be the time to kind of debut that type of deal. And I figured the others would have a demo, but I mean, when it comes to like Starfield, as far as a demo, I guess the big thing would either be like the ship builder or the character creator would be about the main things. People would probably have enough time considering the lines that would be, waiting for the stations and things like that.
Yeah, you would never get to play.
Yeah, it pretty much something like that you can't really sample in like a 15-minute sitting. I mean, other than just the character creator kind of thing. But Towerborn's another one where it hopefully is coming here either the end of this year or early next year type of thing. I think more so early next year. So having that there would be pretty cool. But Stalker was the main one that I figured would just be like the attention getter or the draw, considering they've kind of gone dark for, X amount of months, given the situation that they're still kind of dealing with and stuff like that, even with the relocation and whatnot. The other stuff is just, it's doesn't look like that confrontation or that war is going to end anytime soon. But yeah, for the most part, Stalker was the one I went with, and sure enough, I guess everybody decided that was the best one as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing people's reactions on the game, when they get some seat time to it and stuff like that. But yeah, anxiously looking forward to that one. Pretty much a RPG kind of shooter with some supernatural or paranormal type stuff going on. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that one.
Definitely sounds like right up my alley for sure. I'm definitely down to try it. I mean, Game Pass makes it easy, right? That makes it super easy decision, no brainer. But I'm definitely down to try it, even if it wasn't on Game Pass for sure. So shout out to that team once again. Shout out to that team. Before we move on to this next topic, I want to do something I almost forgot. So I posted. Originally earlier this week, I posted that we're gonna have a guest on. But I don't know if you guys know, but shout out to Retri. I just want to send just our here at the Shop Podcast, our prayers and thoughts. He was gonna be our guest this week, but he had a family member pass away, so he wasn't able to. He wasn't able to make it to the show this week, and I almost forgot. But I want to send prayers and thoughts, and he's already posted it, by the way. So this is not me giving out new information. He's already put it up on Twitter, but prayers and thoughts to him and his family. Anything you need, brother, reach out. And I'm sure Pong and Fuzz and still feel the same way. So shout out to you, man, and all our positive thoughts and energy go to you and your family, man. Right. So but moving on to the next topic, man. I'm gonna let you cook on the Baldur's Gate 3 stuff, Pong. I'm gonna let you have that and run with it, brother. But I gotta get into the Starfield stuff, man. So it's you see the title, it's Starfield versus the world. We've had some nonsense going on. I feel like we need to address this nonsense that's going on. We have too many quality games. I just want to start this. We have too many quality games. We're going to talk about one here very, very shortly, maybe 20, 30 minutes from now. We have too many quality games to be dealing with this kind of nonsense, right? Starfield, we got a game like, Baldur's Gate 3. We've had Zelda to come out. We have Hogwarts. We have all these amazing games. And you guys are taking your time out to fabricate these things about Starfield and, make up things like, it doesn't have a demo. So what's wrong with the game? Are there these issues? This is nonsense. And I kind of want to get into this and get everybody's opinion on some of the things that have been going around as we get closer to Starfield's release. I don't feel like these things are going to go away, but to me, that's just a sign of that's a sign of greatness. You don't get this type of pushback. And it's unusual as well, too. We'll get into that. But you don't get this type of pushback if you're not like approaching this great level. So I'll start with you on this one, Steel. I don't know if you've seen some of the things in the community that's been going on as we get closer to Starfield. Obviously, it's a juggernaut. It's crazy that with everything going on, that's still something that's constant. It's a consistent thing. Even with these monster games coming out, that still always comes up no matter what is going on. So it's interesting to see. So where are you at on just some of the energy around Starfield? I know still, just where are you at on that?
So the overall energy on Starfield, a lot of it is because I'm not the Bethesda dude either, right?
Yeah, I know.
I'm the guy that put 10 hours into Skyrim, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I see why people like this. I spent more time modding the game than I did actually playing it, just to be real. And the game was cool. I get why people are drawn into it, right? So the closest, and I like to repeat this because the closest reference that I have for Bethesda is Elder Scrolls Online. And the reason I bring up Skyrim in conversation, even though I haven't beat that game, is because a lot of the things that I saw in Elder Scrolls Online, I also saw in Skyrim. And mind you, this was my first time. I didn't play it back in the day or none of that. I just recently tried to play Skyrim for the first time. Or was it last year or whatever? So for me, I think Starfield, because it's one of the very few space games that we are going to get over the last decade and probably beyond.
That's
Of
a
course,
good
you have
point.
your like your Everspace 2s, and you have Star Citizens, games that aren't
No Man's
exactly
Sky.
quote unquote finished. No Man's Sky, which is also that's completely different than what even Starfield is going to be. And in knowing that Bethesda, ZeniMax, however you want to classify them, their level of storytelling, world building, character development, is something that you just can't ignore. You don't have to be the utmost fan to be like, oh yeah, I know what this is. So it's like back when, like last year, when people were like, oh, why are you guys hyped for Starfield? You don't know what it is. You don't even know how it's going to play. Oh, Bethesda, these, that, and other thing. It's crazy to me because even a game like, let's go with Fallout 4, that ended up being extremely weak for them, quote unquote. I guess in a lot of people's eyes, when it first released, it's one of the most modded games that is on PC currently. And just that in itself should tell you the longevity of what their games have within them, right? The breadth, I should say, more so of what they have within them. I think a lot of the hate that Starfield is getting is just because it's a platform that's not getting it, right? I mean, this all started with people being hyped that, oh, when people started first hearing the news, oh, Starfield's going to be exclusive to PlayStation. There was tons of people who were excited and in arms and like ready, like, oh yeah, look, we're about to get this, and another thing. And I saw people pulling receipts and whatnot of people who were doing those things. But it's literally more so that than anything else, because unfortunately Xbox does have that stink to it. And again, I know people don't like hearing that, oh well, Xbox is the little brother of the industry, right? That too. Yeah. And I know people don't like hearing that Xbox is the little brother of the industry, but that's what they are. In the gaming industry, Xbox is the little brother. And to have your little brother come out and consistently try to either one, outdo you, a generation in the 360, they actually pretty much outperformed you until the very end of your generation. It's very hard for people to understand or want to back a American company, which is also very funny to me, because I'm never going to sit here and say that Microsoft's an honest company or they're doing everything for the people because that's what they want to do and they think that that's best. No, they're playing the game differently, and more so, really, it's kind of ironic, more so akin to what they did with Windows. If Microsoft can get into that cloud market, have Starfield on that back end, and have people just kind of flooding in, and Starfield is truly that game that people like my brother from another palm believes, and others who are Bethesda fans, like they believe truly, then that's an instant play for more access and more people coming into the ecosystem, especially with it being on Game Pass.
Can I push back just a little bit?
Yeah,
still?
go ahead.
All right, so there's a couple things, right? So Starfield, in my opinion, that was probably the best deep dive of a game that I have ever seen. Regarding that direct that they put together, that was a S tier deep dive. You don't really get any better than that, and it was 40 plus minutes long. So we have that, right? And then you have the whole idea. It feels like to me people are not necessarily afraid of Starfield itself. They're afraid of what the game could be, right? Like
or they're downplaying it because of the whole Bethesda treatment. They don't put all the utmost quality in their games, and they got all these bugs in there, and it just doesn't speak to everybody, right? Although Skyrim has lasted a decade and has sold over 30 million copies of the game. So
the potential is what I'm talking about, essentially, right? Like I mean, you anybody with two eyeballs watches that dive. If you enjoy video games, like on any like base level, and have an understanding of like what you want in a video game, that gave you everything that you would ask for in a presentation of a game, any game.
Exactly. Yeah,
you could replace that Starfield with any game in that format. It's an S tier. Like that's an S tier like deep dive. That's as good as it gets. And I just think the possibility and the idea of the game is so far fetched. They're doing something that we're asking this game to be something that's never been created before. Right?
Well, it has been created, but on such a smaller scale to compare to what they're doing now, right? When you say that, hey, like Paul tells me all the time, like every playthrough that you have in a Bethesda game can be different from one another. Everybody has their own experience, And knowing that those types of things are going to carry over into Starfield, knowing how expansive that game is, that this isn't like when people use the No Man's Sky reference. I mean, it's like you're completely missing 10,000 more elements of the game that game doesn't have.
That's a lazy comparison to me.
Yeah, and so like when you bring it up, that direct, I completely agree with you. It was one of the best representations of a game, and actually that's something that I would like to see more so from more games if they can afford to do it or if they have the time to do it. Hey, tell me what your game is so I can have an understanding of what I'm getting myself into. Now, it doesn't always have to be 45 minutes long, 40 minutes long, but at least give me some kind of idea. And real quick, just to touch on the point with Other Zinc, it's like I get that you don't like hearing that Xbox division being the little brother of the industry or whichever the case, but when you look to each neighbor, how long have they been in the gaming? And I'm not talking about services, I'm not talking about Windows, I'm not talking about computers, I'm talking about gaming specifically. How long have they been in the industry compared to everybody else around them? Again, there has been little nudges here and there. Windows 95, Windows 98. Yeah, there were some games that came on there when MDK came to PC. That's where I played it at, right? That was my first experience of that game. So it's like, when I say that they're the little brother, I say that because they are the most critiqued. They have to do everything right. It's like Halo, right? Xbox is Halo. And if, again, with Halo going through all the trials and tribulations it's going through, it does kind of make you look at Xbox differently because it's like, well, it's like they're mirrors of each other. Halo's not doing the greatest. Xbox wasn't doing the greatest. And now they've had to spend all this money to kind of catch up and even treat competition differently. So, but nonetheless, Starfield is one of those things that I'm not going to necessarily say it's an anomaly. I can't say that because Bethesda has been doing this. It's just for whatever reason, maybe it's just because people don't like that style of game. Maybe it's because it's too massive of a game. Maybe it's not certain people's types of game, whatever the case may be. It just has the potential to do exactly what Skyrim did, but on a much larger scale with much more eyes on it, with so many more facets of the conversation being pointed to it, because this is, again, also Todd's baby, right? This isn't this is the B team or Fallout new 76 or whatever the case, and they're just throwing something. No, this is Todd's baby. He actually has pushed this game out twice from whatever release date that they initially had, and with all the information that we've got also from Xbox, allowing these developers to get in there and really bring their dreams to reality, and knowing that Phil and Todd have a good relationship, it has only been possible because of that relationship, right? So that's what intrigues me about Starfield. But I think just to cap it off, I think a lot of it may be a little bit of a scariness for some people. Hey, could this be the let's heard Mav and Paul talk about this previously. Is this like the replacement to Halo? Is this the new top of the line IP for Xbox? This going to be the start of the avalanche?
Yeah, it definitely feels like it, right? And to a degree, we don't know yet, right? Still, I mean, it's a little bit too early. We don't know. I mean, obviously there's rumblings, but no reviews or anything. We haven't got any of those little whispers or anything yet. Well, at least not me. Right. I'm not close to being in that. No, I'm not in that circle. Unfortunately, I wish I was able to get that information, but we do know people are playing it for sure. But yeah, I just think the whole idea of Starfield just scares people. It's something that we haven't seen. Obviously the whole, but there's a lot of lazy arguments regarding Starfield, and it's silly just because all of these quality games we have coming out, and you can just pretty much add that to the list. And I mean, I've always said still, and I don't know if you agree with this, chat, let me know if I'm way left on this. I said out of any game coming out this year, now I don't know, I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3, so you guys can push back Pong still, because I know you guys have played that. I feel like Starfield has the highest ceiling of any game that's coming out this year. Like from a potential standpoint, like what it could potentially do. Now, I ain't played Baldur's Gate 3. Spider-Man 2 still, remains to be seen.
That's a start and stop though, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's a carefully crafted,
right.
30-hour experience. We understand that, right? In my opinion, I think Starfield has the highest ceiling. So we're gonna throw this over to you, Pong, because I'm sure you've talked about this many times, but just where you at on, as we get closer to September and Starfield coming out, all the nonsense and everything that just swirl of nothing.
Yeah, well, I was gonna do is look at the thumbnail for PM and the PM this last Thursday night, and it was STFU about Starfield. So Mav and I had about an hour-long rant on this exact topic. Excuse me, I had to cough there. Yeah, this is all FUD. This is all garbage. This is the actors, the snakes, the clown show, all of them coming out of the woodwork, because this is one of the biggest games in Xbox's, recent memory and potentially history overall, if you really want to look at it, and the importance to Xbox. So it's brought out all the worst of the worst. And those are the ones that are pushing these narratives. People who understand this industry, people who are actual gamers and actually care about the industry and are passionate and are not just here to console war all the time, understand what Starfield is, what the potential is, as you were just talking about, PTK, and why you should be excited to have a game like Starfield coming out, even if you don't necessarily play in the Xbox ecosystem. Starfield is going to push the bar again, because that's what Todd and his team does. You don't have to like their games, right? You don't have to be, again, Skyrim sold about, a little over 40 million copies. So it's not like every gamer in the world has played Skyrim. Us fans of Bethesda are quite loud in our love of their games, but that doesn't mean we represent all gamers. But what it does do is they always push the bar a little bit further when they come out with a new first-party game. And what that means is that other developers, other publishers look over and say, man, we could think about doing a game of that scope. We could push things a little bit further with dialogue choices. We could start thinking about maybe making a space pirate game and all that kind of stuff.
Quick question, Paul.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you 100% putting Baldur's Gate down as soon as Starfield drops?
Yeah, yes, I will be. Yes.
Like immediately down.
Yes, yes. Immediately down. Full, yeah, no, I'll be into Starfield. Now, again, I don't know how long that will go for exclusively, but yeah, Starfield is the only thing I'll be playing because I will absolutely throw myself into that game the same way I'm doing with Baldur's Gate right now. I'm up around 17, 18 hours right now, and I've thrown myself in. And I will do that with Starfield as well. But this nonsense here are a bunch of people, again, as I said on PM and the PM, most of it's coming from obviously content creators, and then it spreads throughout the community. And again, this is a small bubble. We're the 1% of gamers who live in this community, right? Maybe less. But the fact is, it spreads out from the content creators because content creators can't stop talking about Xbox at any given point. Even the ones that claim to be full-time PlayStation boys can't stop talking about Xbox. I don't understand. You guys have what you are all claiming is the biggest game of the year in Spider-Man 2 dropping, a game that you all think is going to sell 30 million copies in a month. Why aren't you talking about Spider-Man 2? Why aren't you doing breakdowns of the trailer? Why aren't you talking about story beats and what potentially could be going on in that game? Why aren't you talking about all the different mechanics that you think are going to be in that game? Why? Because you know for a fact that despite all your FUD, despite you thinking that because Starfield isn't on a bus that there's a problem, you know Starfield is the game that everybody is going to be talking about long beyond any other game that has come out this year outside of maybe Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and maybe Baldur's Gate 3 now. Starfield is going to be talked about for years, potentially decades to come, depending on how it lands. And you all know that that's not on your favorite piece of plastic. So you got to come out here and try to create a bunch of nonsense. That's
or just turn on that $10,000 PC everybody has, right?
Correct. I mean, again, you don't. That's why this is all fake. Anybody who calls themselves a real gamer should be excited. Okay, anybody should be excited for this game to come out. They should want it to succeed because, again, it will move the industry forward in different ways. No, there is only one Bethesda, and there's only one team that can pull off games like this to the degree that they do. There's other people, though, that come along and try, and we have gotten some fantastic games because people have tried to emulate Bethesda or create their own version of a Bethesda title. Starfield has the potential for that influence going forward this generation into next generation. So again, anybody who pays attention, I was so proud of our chat in PM and the PM because before Mav and I, we were going on our rants. Before we could even get points out, we had a bunch of people pointing out all these different things about all the reasons why all this nonsense and all this fake concern trolling is happening. All the different bullet points that they try to use. We had our entire chat pointing out all the reasons why these were all just garbage. Starfield is a hype machine unto itself. It doesn't need any type of marketing. Sure, would I like to see marketing? Would I like to see billboards with Starfield on everywhere? Absolutely, of course, that'd be cool. But does it need it? No. Again, I just looked at the Steam charts this week. It's been out for 8 weeks on pre-order. It's still sitting in the top 10. If you take out DLC and you take out the Steam Deck itself, it's number 6 overall in Steam pre-orders. And that's been 8 weeks in. This game will drive the conversation itself. And the hype is already at an all-time high. And then when the game drops, and if the game drops and it is the game that I expect it to be, and so many of us expect it to be, a genre-defining, another hit from Todd Howard and the A-Team, then once it hits the mainstream and all the streamers are playing it, just like we see with Baldur's Gate 3, when we see those concurrent players on Steam
that's gonna rise be crazy. I'm curious.
Rise up, yeah, exactly, and start generating that hype when everybody's on your friends list and Xbox is playing on it, everybody's sharing out screenshots and videos of what they discovered, and oh my God, I can't believe I could just do this, and that's when the ball really gets rolling. They
you
don't
know what's crazy,
need to do it. Yeah,
is that people are going to play this game they're going to play it just to spike the game, hoping that it's a bad game.
Yeah,
they're going to play it hoping
correct.
They're going to boot the game up. They're going to download it, boot it up, hoping that it's a bad game.
Yeah, they are. And again, they're pushing Starfield to the forefront even more by talking about it constantly. That's the best part. Even with their negative commentary, they get Starfield trending on a regular basis on Twitter, on X, I should say, whatever we call trending, X trending now. So they push the Starfield themselves. That's what a game like Starfield does. It doesn't need outside help. It already is its own marketing machine. Just because of who's attached to it, because it's a new IP from one of the most beloved developers in the world, you guys can scream Bethesda until you are blue in the face and pass out. It does not change the fact that millions, tens of millions of people called Skyrim, called Oblivion, called Fallout 3 Game of the Year despite all the bugs. You know what that says? The game is one of the GOATs. Okay, I won't say I consider the old Elder Scrolls GOAT. That means that it overcomes all obstacles, including its own failings. There's only so many games that can do that. So go ahead, keep screaming about the nonsense, keep trying to say there's something wrong because we don't get a demo, even though you guys should be doing videos, you guys should be talking about why is Sony not showing up at Gamescom? Big release 1 month after Starfield, your biggest game of the year, potentially your biggest game of the past 2 years, is dropping in Spider-Man 2, a game that you claim is the biggest game in the world. Why is Sony not showing it off at Gamescom? Why is Sony not showing up to these showcases? Why isn't there a demo coming out of Spider-Man 2? It's nonsense. Shout out to Silent Cypher. He shows up in our chats all the time. I don't know if he's out there tonight, but Silent Cypher, Brian, shout out to Silent. He was listening to PM and the PM. He decided to troll a little bit and go on Twitter and post about how people should be worried about Spider-Man 2 because we don't have a demo, right? And they're not going to Gamescom. And the responses in there were telling. I swear, PTK, that there are two groups of gamers who are living in separate universes and watching the same movie watching two different movies on the same screen. Their responses were, well, because look at Insomniac's history. What? We don't need a demo. We don't need to see more. They took this seriously, PTK. We don't need this.
Crazy.
I said,
that's crazy.
I'm sitting there, and you're going to not turn around and say, look at Bethesda's history? The 18?
No, because they're Bethesda.
What? Yeah, right, Steel. Look at those scores. Look at the accolades. Look at the Game of the Year winners. But no. Insomniac's got the best track record. Insomniac is one hell of a development studio, and I'm not worried about Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 is going to be great. Wolverine's going to be great because it's Insomniac. But you guys can't give credit where credit's due on Bethesda's side. So, again, shut the F up about Starfield, a game that you supposedly are not going to play, you don't care about, you hate Bethesda, they suck anyways, they're dead, they're no longer any good, so stop talking about this game, because if that's the case, then you should just sit back and smile knowing that this game's going to fail, but in the back of your mind, you know it's not, and that's why you're out here talking about it.
Man. It's interesting just to see the energy, man, around it. I cannot recall out of the type of year you've had. We just said it. We just talked about it 20 minutes ago. This is already easily, in my opinion, and I'm putting everything on the line here. I'll die on this hill. It's already the greatest year for video games in my life currently. You know, I'm 39 years old, so there's never been a year where we've seen the level of quality on a consistent basis. We get a game of the year level game every single month, and sometimes we get two. It's insane, the level of quality. And you got Starfield, that's just a consistent thing, and everybody's like, there you go, everybody goes right back to Starfield. And I just really think it's a potential, man. Like, PlayStation did not go out on a limb to try and make this game exclusive for no reason. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they saw what was going on, they saw the potential, they know the cachet, they know what Todd and those guys over there are capable of. Pong, and it's interesting to see people throw that out the window or just completely discredit, and those are actually like factual things.
Correct. But that's always what happens, PTK. This is the thing that's been going on from that side forever against Xbox and anything that has to do with Xbox. It just never stops. They continuously ignore facts and propagate their own narratives to fit into this idea that Xbox could never succeed, right? And again, they all have this understanding. And again, a lot of it's fake. A lot of it is all ego boosting. It's all for the attention they get from their own communities that they've built up around this garbage. And obviously the people on the other side who come and attack back and push back against them. They love this. They live for this. They don't game. Right? They're on X all day long. They're on YouTube all day long. They're in Spaces all day long. They're not gaming. Again, most of these people go to their websites, go to their pages. What games are they posting about they're playing? They have premium games over on PlayStation 5, supposedly. They have this huge library of nonstop home runs that they all just absolutely adore, and yet none of them post pictures. None of them post gameplay. None of them are out here talking about those games or praising those games. You know what they do? They talk about them for a day, 3 days, maybe a week at max when they launch, and then they're right back to Xbox again. This is the same scenario that happens time and time again. But the facts are that Xbox now has the most developers between the two. They are going to have some of the highest quality games, I believe, personally. Again, if you don't believe it, fine. Again, I understand completely. Got to prove it. But they will have some of the highest quality games coming out of Xbox. And the big factor is they're going to have big RPGs coming out of Xbox, which Sony does not have. They have their heavy narrative-driven games. Like Steele said, those are good for 3 weeks, a month, right? They're good for that. But then you're going to put that down. Xbox is starting to gather studios who are going to put out games that last months, years, right? Hundreds of hours beyond. And that bugs them because they know they're going to be hearing about these games nonstop, right? Just like the Nintendo fans talk about Zelda nonstop. That's why I say Zelda is one of the ones up there that we'll continue to hear about. Every Zelda game gets talked about in that community for decades, right? That's how it is. That's what Bethesda titles do. So, but again, this is just a continuation. It's a bunch of people who actually don't enjoy gaming. They really don't deep down enjoy gaming. Yeah. They enjoy this attention here in the community. They enjoy whatever little space they created for themselves through YouTube or through X or wherever they are at. That's what they enjoy because they're missing something. But they don't really have enjoyment for the industry. They can't find joy in anything outside of their little bubble that they currently have built for themselves. And that's the sad part here. Because again, as much as I don't own Nintendo, haven't owned a Nintendo myself personally since Super Nintendo, and even though I have zero interest in ever playing a Zelda, I don't look over at Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and go, oh, that game's trash. Why are people playing that game? It's 30 frames. It sucks. Look at those graphics. Oh my God, it's bullshit. This game is terrible. I don't do that. I say, you know what? I look over and I say, wow, there's some people creating some really cool things in Tears of the Kingdom. I can understand why people are super excited about this game and why people are giving it 10s. I can see why. And I also even go, it's pretty impressive that the devs got that to run on the Switch. That's what people who enjoy industry, this hobby, this form of entertainment do. They don't rag on everything, but there is a certain segment here that does, and Starfield's is the latest victim, and it's going to continue again. When Starfield launches, like you said, PTK, they'll be on the look for any little flaws, any little thing. The funny part is, Starfield came out here, like you said, PTK, with a 45-minute direct, showed gameplay after gameplay after gameplay after gameplay in every single type of scenario you could possibly think of. Very few videos came out trashing it. Very few videos nitpicked that thing to death. It seemed like they couldn't find anything. So now it's, oh, they're not advertising. They're not on buses. Why aren't we seeing commercials? Where's the demo? Why isn't it going to be at Gamescom as a demo? Yeah. That's what they are down to now. So again, desperation.
No, it's insane, man. And just the energy, right? Like, I've never seen a game get this much pushback. Like a game that's obviously trying to do something that we've never seen, a game that could potentially be just a benchmark out of all the games we've gotten this year, Pong. And you've already made note of a ton of them already, right? From Hogwarts early and Hi-Fi Rush all the way up until, Baldur's Gate 3 that just recently came out. Like, nothing but quality games. Starfield, in my opinion, can still stick out. It could still be the landmark of this year. So and that's crazy to think, you know what I mean? Correct. Amongst the sea of all these game of the year, we're gonna have like 15 actual game of the year titles this year, like upwards of like 15. It's gonna be insane. But let's throw this over to you, Fuzz. Get your opinion. Obviously, I know you alluded to this pre-show. We talked about this a little bit, but the Starfield stuff, the narrative in chat. I know we're getting a little left field here. We don't usually take this route here at the shop, but I had to get it out. We had to get our bars off today. I got tired of seeing this on my timeline. But Fuzz, where are you at on this, brother?
It's comic relief for me. 1 week, as Pong would say, the clown show are up here in arms that Phil lied and stole this game. It's unfair. He said games will be playable everywhere. He stole this game, and then the next week it's like, well, I'm worried about this game because it doesn't have a demo. It's like, well, make up your mind. Like, are you worried about the game, or are you upset that the game is not available on your preferred platform? What is it? Like, you can only choose one. It's not like, you can always relocate the goalposts. So it just seems like they like to do. But I don't know. I'm a person that owns both an Xbox and a PlayStation, and it cracks me up that they're worried about a demo not being available when historically I don't recall Bethesda ever having a demo prior to a release.
No.
Do you Pong? Do you
No.
Steal? No demos, right? So that's not like out of the norm for them not to have a demo. Now, all of that being said, they're going to be at Gamescom. 5 days later, you can get your demo. Well, no, technically, if you just sign up to Game Pass and do the $1 deal, you might have to wait like an extra 10 days or something like that. But the game will be playable in 5 days. Outside of the people that are privileged to be able to play it now and have been playing it in the background for a bit, but a lot of us that did the deluxe edition or the deluxe upgrade will be able to play it 5 days after the showcase. I don't foresee anybody worrying about it.
Yeah.
And besides, a demo at this place, like a convention, where you're going to have thousands of people attend, which they always do when they have an in-person event at Gamescom. They said they have like 30, I think, machines, or maybe it's 300. No, it's like 150 computers or stations that they're going to have, and you figure each station that they have has got a couple. They got a couple of games per, or each game has like at least a couple of stations. So if you have a line for Starfield, you figure you might get 8 minutes to play. What are you going to do? Create your character, put hair on them, change the hair color, put a different outfit, pick the background. All right, you done. Next, like. What are you going to do in this demo? Oh, let's just put them in the middle of the story, some random spot in space. They don't know anything about what they're doing. Oh, they crash into the planet, or they run out of fuel because they just choose to fly around for 8 minutes. Like, what are you going to do in a game of this magnitude in like a 8-minute session, or whatever the session would be, considering how many people attend? Like, it's just foolish to think that would be something that there's going to be a demo for, in the sense that you're not going to have time. Like, maybe design your ship, maybe design your character. Next,
are you calling me foolish? Are you calling me foolish here? Because I said they could.
well, but beyond like something like
just giving you a hard time. I know what you're saying.
Beyond
you're
like a character creator or a spaceship creator type of thing, there's like no time to really get a taste of what this game is going to offer you in that short time frame. But people were saying, where's the demo for Spider-Man? J-Rock put it perfectly. Oh, just play Spider-Man Remastered on your PS5. There's your Spider-Man 2 demo. But, people, are ready to, call you names and stuff when you say it's more of the same, or it's like DLC kind of thing. It's an expansion of the story. It is what it is. And if they're not worried about the game because there's not a demo, then why are they worried about Starfield not having a demo when that's not the norm for Bethesda to have a demo beforehand? Like, I don't know. As a PlayStation owner myself, I want to know why Sony's not at Gamescom. I want to know why they haven't, had a presence at E3. Oh, they don't feel they have the need to, or they don't.
They have nothing, Fuzzy. That's the problem.
Exactly. Like, I people always used to say, "Where's the roadmap for Xbox?" And then when they show the roadmap, I don't hear anybody saying the same for PlayStation. Where's the roadmap for PlayStation? Like, I bought a PlayStation not for it to collect dust. I bought it to play games on. And hell, if I know what's coming next year. Like, I don't think Wolverine's coming next year. That's probably 2025. So I don't know what that box is going to be doing other than collecting dust and maybe turning it on to play GT7 again and again. Which, by the way, why isn't that on PC yet? They're supposed to put the whole slate on PC. Why isn't that on PC yet? Oh, no, that's right. They're working on a remaster of a game that's less than 5 years old. Oh, yeah, Last of Us 2? Like, I wish... Like, maybe I should be the guy that they'll be like the reverse troll of the PlayStation trolls and just be like, when can we get a game that's more than 5 years old as far as a remaster? Can we bring back a Resistance? Can we bring back a SOCOM? Can we bring back something that wasn't a playable game just recently, kind of thing? Like, stop with this rehashing and recycling crap. Stop with this not attending shows and having crappy showcases. Like, I knew that games as a service showcase that they were going to have wasn't going to, land properly with, PlayStation fans. A show like that would land better with Xbox fans because at least we play multiplayer games. And before anybody that's a PlayStation fan says, "Oh, I play multiplayer games," sure you do. Like, everybody that's on my friends list that's not an Xbox only person or Xbox and PlayStation person, aside from them, I can't find since 2007, 2008, somebody that's willing to play Destiny that has a mic, or somebody that's willing to play co-op for Returnal. Well, because that was a big deal. Co-op and Returnal, where nobody's played it. Ghost of Tsushima had co-op and raids. Hardly anybody did that. And I'm like putting like posts for looking for group.
Matter of fact, Fuzzy, what happened to that mode? I thought it was good. People said something about it the first week of release, and then nothing.
You're talking about the Ghost of Tsushima?
I see that a lot. It like, whenever it comes to like something that's not a one and done type of scenario as far as story.
Oh, don't do it to him.
It like with it being one and done, I don't hear people still playing The Last of Us. Like, you might have somebody say, "Oh, I fired it up," and to take a picture to show that in photo mode it looks better than a 7-year-old game on Xbox. Good job. You get your W there for, just turn it on to do a photo. But like the trolling on that side, it's like, I don't even know why we give them oxygen to like, bring out their message of just nonsense. It's like, I joked about it before. Once Xbox starts hitting their cadence as far as these game releases, they'll go back to the Series S is a potato, batteries in a controller. Who does that in 2023? It's like, it never ends. It's like, I can look at PlayStation games and be like, oh, that's cool. Like Ghost of Tsushima is one of my favorite games on that console. I have no issues with it other than the fact that people, bragged about the co-op and then don't play the co-op. It's like, okay. Or a lot of people that don't even play racing games are bragging about GT7 in comparison to Motorsport, which was like 7-year-old game at the time.
There you go.
And I see you guys have less than 20 minutes in the game. Don't at me about nothing.
Man, you got the bars. Fuzz getting them bars off today, man.
But it's nothing but nonsense on that side of the fence, and it seems to be getting worse. Just as Xbox is now competing, they're now coming up with like, I guess they have all these narratives in the hat, and they pull one out each week. It's like, well, Phil Cross off this, so we got to pick something else now. Like, it's just nonstop. But like I said, comedy relief. If you guys are really worried about a demo, just do the $1 deal in a couple of weeks after Gamescom, and hey, there's your demo. You can play it for 30 days for that $1 and then move on. I mean, you may have to do it on a web browser or supposedly the $5,000 PCs that you said you had because you don't need an Xbox. I have a PC. Why would I need an Xbox? I have a PC and an Xbox, and my PC is mainly used for the modded versions of games versus, the ease and convenience of a console where I don't have to worry about an update maybe once a month at most. PC, I got to update almost every other day and worry about other files or, they did this update and it breaks these things. Like, PC is fine, and it's the best of the best as far as when it comes to visuals and things like that, but it also has its drawbacks. And I'm fine with, using each platform for what they're best suited for. But as far as for anybody out there just worrying about what their fake concern about a game, I want to see you post to Jim Ryan or Mark Cerny, like the whole thing with the liquid metal. Like, it was quietly said that, I guess the next PlayStation is not going to have the liquid metal for the chipset. It's like, did they make a mistake by having that thing in the upright position? Or is that just, fake concern when I said, that might be an issue before, but you know what? Since they gave me a stand to make it stand up, I'm going to keep mine standing up. And when it breaks, I'm going to make PlayStation replace it. Pure and simple. But it is what it is. I don't know. I'm pretty sure next week it'll be something different. They'll go back to, we have VR and you don't. Who cares? Have you seen anybody talk about VR lately?
Nope.
Like, seriously?
Nope.
Like, as far as PlayStation VR 2?
Not at all. None.
Anybody like champion, like whatever game came out? Like, I remember seeing a few people doing the GT7
Horizon
stuff.
DLC.
The way they were talking about it, I thought 100% of this community had it. So
yeah.
I don't understand why it's not.
Yeah,
those games are included. People have included those games, Fuzzy, because you brought this up earlier. Like, well, they only got for the one first-party game coming out, and technically, the true story of I guess it depends on what your version of true is. The true story that they're putting out there is that, those VR games that we got, those are first-party too, so those count. We got more games. Just because you can't go out and afford to buy the VR doesn't mean we didn't get games this year.
I mean, they didn't even afford to buy the VR themselves. So why would you count something that you don't have access to? Like, my GameStop that's in my area is begging me to trade in my broken Series X to do that. So,
wow.
Seriously, I don't know. I just look at that side of the fence and just wonder, like, it was great living high on the hog all these months, picking on Xbox guys when we only have 5 studios. Now we got at least 23
over
right
30.
now, and on our way to 38 here soon. So yeah. Wow, how the tables have turned. But I don't know why they don't just stay in their lane. Just stay in their lane. It would be easier for them just to focus on Sony and say, hey, Bring back SOCOM, bring back Twisted Metal, bring back Resistance, bring back stuff that we actually want that's in a remake form as opposed to something that we played on our PS4 at the end of the generation. Like, it's not necessary, but it is what it is.
So
I don't know. They'll like I said, next week it'll be something new, and I guess we should just start pointing and laughing or something to that effect. But it is what it is.
You know, enough. No, you're good. The crazy thing about all of this, chat, is I said and we sat here when we saw them, because they said it early. Herman and Jim told. They said they came out and said, look, we're transitioning to this game as a service thing. Those 20 million copies of God of War Ragnarok were phenomenal. That is great, but big but with a big period at the end. We need some like consistent money. We need some money, like we need to be generating income revenue every single month. We need those games as service games. And we said here that's going to be a tough transition for Sony.
A tough sell.
A tough sell. They don't like that. Showcase was a perfect example.
Look what they did to Godfall.
Look, come on, man. Come on, man. Like, what do we really
talk about that game
here? Nobody wants to talk about it.
And we better talk about their PC porting too, because they better step that up if they want the PC community to try to support those games as a service as well. They better step up their game, because it ain't looking good.
They proven anybody outside of Nixus, even Naughty Dog themselves, because that's who ended up the original people who were working on that Last of Us port to PC was pulled off, and Naughty Dog had to take over. And if that's what the type of quality that Naughty Dog has allowed themselves to put out on PC, doesn't that tell you leaps and bounds of what their acceptance level is? Is that quality? That's what it is?
They're going to be leaning heavy on Bungie and leaning heavy on Haven and Jade Raymond's team. They're going to have to hope, right, that those two studios, games as a service, are the front runners.
Well, you know there's gonna be some third-party deals as well. There's gonna be some third-party deals as well in the back pocket. They're in the tuck. You know, that's why they went. That's why they overpaid for Bungie, essentially. You know, I hate using that word overpaid, but obviously they paid more than market value for Bungie. I think that's pretty obvious. But and it's interesting too. You mentioned that they are using Bungie as a filter for the game of service, seemingly, right?
Yeah, quality control team.
Quality control team. Look,
$3 billion quality
this
control.
This ain't enough. This ain't good enough. Who did they tell? Put that back in the oven.
Bungie. Naughty Dog.
Naughty Dog.
Yeah,
Naughty Dog.
Put
that back.
Factions. They told Factions put it back in the oven.
Put it back in the oven. That ain't done yet.
And I don't know if Bungie's the one that you want to listen to with them struggling with their second game, in making sure that people enjoy it. You know, let me tell you guys a secret. For those who don't know, maybe you've been away from Destiny for some time. I love Destiny. I have about 1,500 hours in Destiny 2. Have probably the same amount in Destiny 1. You know what's really irking? When these developers release a game, you have separate modes in your game, and I'm going to bring in PvP because that's what I specifically care about. I mean, of course, I would care about these other things, but because you have deprived me for so long on the PvP front, you take your time to balance things out. You take your time to never release maps. Like, dude, we're about to get this next Destiny update is getting one PvP map after you just sunsetted 3 actual planets. You sunsetted content. You took away guns from us. Like, that's who you want to listen to for what your content or service strategy needs to be? Like, they need to get working on Marathon. Because Destiny 2 it's on its way, but nonetheless, you know, it's ironic, and it's also hilarious to me that Sony even allowed Bungie to come in and say, "Yo, that's not it," because they were new. They're new.
They just walked in the door.
Exactly.
Bungie walked in the door and went straight to Naughty Dog and said, "That ain't it. Put it back."
There was smoke that rubbed some people the wrong way.
No,
the guy's retired from.
You the mayor over there. You might have some information I don't, Pong, but I'm just saying.
Who was the guy that retired? The one of the heads of Naughty Dog retired after that?
Yep, he sure did.
Again, in your first game in Last of Us, and I'm not going to get on a rant here, but your first game of Last of Us was already, the multiplayer for it was already, it was amazing. But that's coming from me. But a lot of your player base didn't even play the game after you remastered it on PlayStation 4. So to hear that Bungie came in and said, that's not it. So where's the quality control at? So this entire time that you've been working on this whole separate mode, where's the quality control at? You had time to give us concept art, but you let this new acquisition come in and tell you that your game isn't it. Oh man, there's a deeper rooted problem, at least in my opinion, than that people are looking over.
Yeah.
At least on the Sony side.
Yeah, no, it's crazy just to see, and like I said, I mean, and I know we kind of got a little bit away from Starfield here, but like ultimately, kind of swinging back around the things. No, it's all relative to me still. At the end of the day, we were all on topic at the end of the day, to be honest with you. But just kind of swinging back around to Starfield. I want to throw this back at Pong real quick before we move on, because I know we got to talk about Baldur's Gate 3 for sure. But I want to throw this to you, Pong, before we wrap this up, man. So I know you're the biggest Bethesda fan I know personally, right? So I don't know anybody that loves a Bethesda game as much as you do and has put as much time and pays attention and as much care and knows the history of Bethesda as much as you do. So being as close to Bethesda and already setting the precedence, you nobody can set the bar higher than you've set it for yourself, correct, Pong?
Correct. Yeah, so for sure, 100%.
So with that being said, what do you expect the game to be?
Well, I mean, I think I've said it lots of times, genre defining. I expect this to set the new precedent for space RPGs going forward. Not that everybody has to chase it, but again, when you talk about sci-fi RPGs, everybody still goes back to Mass Effect, right? Which it's obviously worthy. It's one of my GOAT franchises of all time. Top 5 for me as well. And that was a 360 game. So sci-fi has been, sure, there's lots of sci-fi games out of there, but there hasn't been a lot of genre defining sci-fi games. And when you've got a game that is 2 generations plus old in Mass Effect that still holds that crown, that says something. And I think that Bethesda here has a chance to take that crown. And I do believe that they will take that crown. Now, it's a different type of RPG. Obviously, I understand that. It is going to be, less focused than Mass Effect is. Mass Effect is a very focused, not linear, but very focused narrative, right? That's what it's based upon. But you have that in Starfield, but then you have this entire universe in sandbox form that they allow you to go create your own stories in. And again, just like Elder Scrolls, just like Fallout, those types of games from a studio that understands what the formula is to create one do not come along pretty much ever unless Bethesda does it. Again, there's been others that have tried. There's been others that do it to a very good degree, Obsidian being one of them, but they do it in a much smaller bite-sized meal. Bethesda basically lays out the buffet table for you and says, come eat what you want. Right? Whereas other teams are like, oh, we don't have that many cooks to make that much food. So what we're going to do is we're going to go with a 4-course meal and we're going to make it the best we can do. And it's going to be fantastic and everybody's going to love it. But Bethesda just goes, nah, we're not into 4-course meals. Come on in, everybody. We got whatever you want with right here. So I think that this will be the genre defining RPG that sets the standard going forward yet again for sci-fi, right? This will be the most complete sci-fi experience that we have ever gotten out of a game. And so I think that in itself is going to be a special moment if people feel that as well. So I think that's where we're going to be at with Starfield. And then I think it also is going to set the tone for Xbox going forward. I think this will be the one game. Todd said it himself. Phil has talked about this, but Todd understands the pressure on him and his team. He said this is the first time we've ever had to be a console seller. And again, we talk about how they've kind of de-emphasized the console market and all that kind of stuff. What he meant is he's got this. Starfield is going to be the ecosystem seller for Xbox. They've got a lot of other IP. They got a lot of other great games in the works that could be gigantic. We just don't know yet, but Starfield could be the one that sets the tone for Xbox, where Phil can walk out from that moment on, and he always does, but he's going to walk out with a little extra, pickup in his step, a little bit of extra confidence in his smile when Starfield lands the way I think it will and so many others think it will, just knowing that that is their first party IP and that will start that creation, not the creation, because they already have plenty of identities with Master Chief and Halo. But what I'm saying is a current kind of identity for them. People will know Xbox. When they hear Starfield, they will think Xbox, right? Sure, PC is still going to be there, but they're going to start understanding that that's Bethesda, that is an Xbox developer, that is them. And I think that that's what Starfield can mean to Xbox overall.
Yeah, and it's so awesome, and it's so awesome to see and hear, and just understand that this game potentially, and I agree with you, Pong. I don't see any reason why it won't be everything that they've shown us. That direct show it 45 minutes of greatness, Pong. I mean, we all sat there and watched it, man. That was the best direct I've ever seen in my life, man. It's the best showcase of a singular video game I've ever seen. I don't think any state of play or Nintendo Direct for a single game have come close, in my opinion. Now, maybe some Sony fans, Nintendo fans have maybe pushed back on that, but I just can't see it, man. You know what I mean? I can't see it. So I'm super, super hyped for the game, but I know we gotta move on. I don't want to talk about Starfield. We got something else just as huge to talk about here, and I know I gotta let you get your bars off on this, Pong. So take us.
Excuse me. I feel like I'm kind of dominating here because I'm the only one that I'm the only one here that's played Baldur's Gate 3.
I thought Steel.
No.
Okay.
It's not Steel's necessarily type.
Look, I have some interest in it.
Yes,
I'm just because of other games that are coming out around.
Yes.
I'm not a gamer. I'm not somebody who's just swimming in it. You know what I'm saying? So unless there's somebody slides it to me under the table or something, I'm probably gonna skip out on it. But I am interested. Again, world building, character development, the storytelling, the graphical fidelity of the game. There's all things that are definitely interesting in me. Not the FOMO, but there's just things that pique my interest.
Right. So this could be a tougher discussion to come up with here, but I think that you all have obviously seen the game. You've all looked at the game. You've all seen the numbers being put up by this game. I think you all have a really good idea of what this game is. And what it kind of is presenting. I said a lot in my intro, so I won't try to go back and rehash that again. But I think, let me start here. Larian Games took an IP that had been dormant for 2 decades plus, okay? An IP that sure was well known 20 plus years ago on PC, has been kept alive by the nostalgia factor. It got some, obviously re-releases on console and all that kind of stuff, but let's be real, it never took off in any way, shape, or form. Meanwhile, they came up and did Divinity Original Sin series, Divinity Original Sin 2, just an absolutely glorious CRPG that transferred well to console, but certainly didn't put up gigantic numbers like we're seeing from Baldur's Gate 3. So they take this IP set in D&D, right? Dungeons and Dragons set in that realm. They bring it back to life in 2023 after a 6-year period, 3 years in preview, right? 3 years in preview, allowing the community to help build this game as they went along. Nearly 3 million preview copies sold prior to launch day. And here we see, it peaked over 700,000, nearly 710,000 people today. That's 7 times, by the way, any peak for Divinity Original Sin 2 on PC. And Divinity Original Sin 2 on PC was a big moment for PC people as well, because there's a bigger audience over there than there is on console for CRPGs. 7 times what they saw almost on Divinity Original Sin 2. Coming out of nowhere in 2020, not coming out of nowhere, but let's put it this way. Obviously, no marketing campaign to speak of, really. We were just talking about that with Starfield. No marketing campaign. They did all that marketing through preview and allowing people to play the game and build it through the community. And here we are sit today with a game that leans heavily into a lot of mechanics that people said were dead in this day and age, that were no longer popular, that could no longer be popular. We also have a game, and I didn't point this out in my intro, that leans heavily into being adult. Okay. Now, I came out and talked about some of the choices they made. I'm not on board with, like, some things I think should be left out.
It's adult.
But what I'm going to say is that adult, they've got full nudity in here. They don't shy away from it. If you want it, you can have it. And we don't see that in video games very often. We've seen it, of course. There's been plenty of examples. Cyberpunk most recently had kind of the same options as well. But the fact that Larian is already taking a big risk, went from 40 devs to 400 plus devs to make this game. Huge risk for a studio that was considered indie at one point due to the size of their studio. Now is a full-fledged AAA CRPG leaning into very, very adult themes in a genre that is not has not been well respected for a while outside of us fans that have been told that we just need to go action RPG everything. This success means something. I said in my intro, this is part of the golden age of gaming. This is a part of 2023 becoming the greatest game of the year. So for you three, I just want kind of your general thoughts. And I'm going to start with you, Steele. And I know some of them because you and I have talked in the background and some other things too as we led up to this launch. And I know you've got different perspectives in some of the areas, which is cool. That's, again, whenever we have different perspectives, I love it. But for you, Steele, seeing the reception of this game, and I know where part of the reception you're going to go is, and that's why I brought up the adult stuff, because it is kind of true in some areas, and I don't totally disagree with you in there. But from the reception that this has got, from the amount of press that this game is now getting, from the amount of people that seemingly are trying a turn-based classic CRPG style game for the first time, and some of the highlights that you just pointed out when you were talking, the graphic fidelity, the obvious budget, the time, effort that was put into it by the team. The cutscenes are absolutely incredible. The acting is off the charts good across the board. For you, Steele, what do you see, if anything, influence-wise, for the gaming industry going forward from Baldur's Gate 3? And talk a little bit about the things that you've seen as somebody who is not necessarily into the turn-based stuff. What have you seen from this game or heard from this game that does pique your interest, that you might try it down the road at some point?
Okay, so the number one thing, because I like to clarify this because people do come from different angles. It's not that I don't like RTSs, but RTSs are an extreme time sink. And when you're a gamer that is very particular about what they play, and likes to go in full depth in a lot of the games that they do put their time into, real life is always going to be a thing. There's just other games that I would rather play. Nothing against RTS or anything like that. And even this, although it is in RTS, there's much more strategy to it. There's much more adventuring to it. I saw earlier today, and I didn't even know this, that you can even get behind your character, and it kind of acts like a third person game. I didn't know it was like that on controller. Yeah. So that was really dope to see. I was like, wow, okay, well, that adds a whole different level, because boom, you're behind the character, and then you get the battle, from what I've heard, and then boom, you're surveying the battlefield and making decisions and trying to win that fight. A lot of the things I'm not gonna say a lot. The things that I'm seeing from Baldur's Gate 3 that really stand out to me again are definitely the things that I mentioned. The graphical fidelity, it just screams quality. You could tell that they put their utmost effort into it at every level, even with a custom created character. They're extremely detailed. They didn't sell you short on that. The character building. I've seen too many people, and you guys even in party chat, talk about, oh, I had this engagement with this guy. Oh, well, I did this. And then Mav's whole situation with getting the necropsy or whatever the case. And you guys being like, oh, wow, I didn't even have to deal with that. What are you talking about?
It's crazy, dude.
You know, a lot of those aspects are things that really intrigue me. And I think it's because there are very few games that go out on a limb and really give you a choose your story kind of scenario, right? The reason Mass Effect is considered that for me, although I only played the Legendary Edition and played Mass Effect for the first time last year, Mass Effect 2 is the greatest game of all time. And matter of fact, I would rather combine the trilogy together, because those 3 games are the epitome of what I would want in any trilogy. Give me a character that I can build up in one game, and then by the time that I get to the last game, or even the beginning of the second game, I'm just dumbfounded. My mind's blown. I'm like, oh, wow, this is how you're continuing the story, and then so on and so forth. And to see that Baldur's Gate, it's not necessarily going to end up being separate games, and it does have a lineage or whatever, but this is the style of game where, again, it does come from those D&D roots. I don't have personal D&D history to be familiar with how the mechanics work and everything else, but I've been part of plenty of conversations with people, because, again, I was the guy that kind of stood up for the bullies versus picking on them, to where I can get why people are obsessed with this. Now, the adult aspects of the game, or the furry aspects of the game even, although they may be weird, it's not something that's essentially attractive to me. It's something that I look for in games. I have to be honest and say, from what I have seen, not only from the gaming community, but just as humanity overall, if you give anything some type of cuteness level to it, some type of good look to it, it doesn't matter if it can transform into something else or not, people will kind of bend their own will to be satisfied with that, right? Because it's this weird thing. And again, I'm not here to kink shame nobody, right? But to your point, Paul, with the whole adult thing, I do think that it is important that games, especially when they're labeled adult, that you go that full bar. When you're labeled mature, be a mature game. If you want to have naked characters, if you want to, really get deeper within the sex scenes and all that crazy stuff, then cool. Is that something for me? No, I feel like that attention could have been put elsewhere in the game. But if this was something that you just added on to add an additional level of, not necessarily realism, because I can't find a better word currently, but an additional level of realism to the game, then great. Because I'm all for feeling like you're living within that world. So to me, that's extremely unique. The whole thing with the dude transforming into the bear, and them do, whatever. That's strange, and I don't get why. For me, that does put some questions into my mind of what is Larian's mentality, because you could have idea. He's a druid. He could have stayed human. What? And then the fact, but what's crazy is, it was also such a marketing ploy for them. And I don't know if they did it intentionally or not. I feel like they did it intentionally, but it got more people talking about the game than they were previously. Now, I do have a knock against the studio in totality, because it's the same issue that I have with Diablo. Seemingly, from what the information that we've gotten from them, for me personally. And again, I get when they do it with live service games, because you want to grow it. This game has been in early access for 3 years. To me, I don't have as much faith in a studio that is depending, because there's no telling from where this game was at when they put it in early access to where the game is now is leaps and bounds. It feels completely different from everything that I've seen, heard, and been told. You had 3 years of people telling you what was wrong with your game. I would hope that when you come to release this game on 1.0, your final version, come to put it on other platforms, that the game does do exactly what you sold it as, that it is feature complete, that it is a graphical showcase because you've had time to polish it. For me, I cannot give them a pass for that. Now, if that's how the way they decided to design the game and that's how they wanted to develop the game, then to each their own. I feel that. But to me, I'm more impressed with devs putting out a game and saying, hey, we put all of our best efforts towards this game. What do you think? And if you want to update it after that, great. But putting a game out in early access, it's like you've let everybody else help build your game versus whatever your original intention was. And to me, that just puts a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth personally. It's like if Spider-Man 2 came out and said, oh, here's Spider-Man 2 open beta, but we're going to release the actual game next year, but we're going to add another 10 hours worth of content, but you still got that core game, right? As an example. Or Halo, same thing. Halo would have got heavily critiqued for it, and it still is getting critiqued for it because it released feature incomplete. If they would have released it when they originally wanted to release it and said, hey, we want the community to build this game up, although Halo is different because it's a live service game and it has needed its community to help grow it with Forge and so on and so forth, there would still be something to be said, just like it is now, although I'm not the negative Nancy against Halo Infinite, where the game 343 doesn't know what they're doing. They depended on the community to help build their game up. Oh, the community has to come in and save the game again. Again, especially since it's been so long since your last game, I would have liked to see more confidence or the game not necessarily be quote unquote in early access. Now, again, nothing against the game. It's just a personal gripe from me because I like to see dev talent, right? What their talent truly is.
Yeah, and Steel, I know that's where you and I differ. That's probably one of the biggest differences we have when we look at game development, because I enjoy preview builds and I enjoy the devs asking the community. And I think for Larian, this game shows how it can work. Now, to your point, there have been other games that certainly the community influence didn't do it any, justice. Like it didn't help it at all. In fact, it probably hindered what the devs were looking to do. But with a game like this set in the D&D world at this scale with this much stuff going on, I think it helped Larian as they built up their studio, because again, they came from 40 devs. They didn't, they were building this entire time, almost all the way up until this last year. They were building their studio out to finish this game. So I think it actually helped them drive the interest for a genre that has, again, been relegated to most people to a niche genre. And it did actually help in this case make the game better, because what I'm seeing is great, and drive that hype factor without big marketing, because they didn't have big marketing dollars, right? So it got the word out there, and as more people experienced it, and as they did more on the game, more and more people jumped in and were experiencing it. Plus, financially, it helped them too, because people were buying into the game early, right? So I understand what you're saying, because again, when you're coming to creative vision,
what is your true vision?
Right. You would hope that the developers would just stick to their creative vision, not need that outside influence, and just present it. And like you said, then fix from there, right? If there's something egregious or something bad. Right. So no, that's I great point, Steel. And I knew you were going to kind of come to that area, because I know that's kind of your thoughts overall. I just think in this instance, this is the example of the good things that can happen when you do it. And I'm from the final build that I'm playing, right, the release build, I can see where that was advantageous to them to do it that way, because it turned out great. So great thought, Steel. PTK.
Yes, sir.
Somebody on the outside, somebody who obviously, again, you've been experiencing lots of new things as we've been playing this generation and stuff, and Diablo and obviously all this kind of stuff. I don't know if you ever played the old Baldur Gates. I don't know if you ever jumped in a Neverwinter Night.
I've heard of
back
them.
In the day.
I haven't played them.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, sure. A lot of people
but
did back in the day.
my favorite author is R.A. Salvatore. So
yes,
I'm
I do,
tied
sir.
to Baldur's Gate universe.
And you can create Drizzt in this game if you want to, sir,
Yes.
very
Oh,
easily,
God.
sir.
See, look, you trying to drag. You do this every goddamn time.
The only thing they don't have,
man.
the only thing they don't have is Guinevere. You can't call forth an astral panther,
no, panther
yet, but
no,
there are panthers in this game though that I believe are astral. Actually,
nice.
Jasper actually was in a battle with them. So, anyways, so I don't know where your background is, kind of looking at these games and CRPGs in general, but obviously it's hard not to stand up and take notice of a game like Baldur's Gate that comes out and kind of takes over, right? Again, we saw this with Elder Scrolls, right? We saw this with Hogwarts, or not Elder Scrolls, Elden Ring. We saw this with Hogwarts, right? Where word of mouth spreads fast about how great something is. And the hype slowly built for this game as we came to launch. So for you, PTK, kind of what you've seen, what you've heard out there about this game, what are your initial thoughts? Kind of what is catching your eye about this game? And then second of all, what do you think down the road? Could this game have influence on the industry, kind of like what I said? Or do you think this truly is, as, like I said, people high up, Josh Sawyer, right? One of the most well-known developers out here, right? Obsidian. Came out and said, ho, 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 everybody slow down. This is an anomaly. This is a one-off scenario. But do you think this game could, now that we see it in the wild, have influence on the industry down the road in one form or another?
So I want to adjust the Josh Sawyer thing.
Yeah.
So I think he meant anomaly in the utmost respectful way.
Right.
I know some people, there's a lot of different perspectives to look at that. And some people are looking at that like, oh, well, maybe he's just saying like, maybe it's a kind of a disrespectful thing to say. Maybe he's just talking about the overall level of talent compared to, what Larian's able to pull off. Like there's a lot of different ways to parse that up, depending on your view, right? But I think he's saying that in a kind of as respect to Larian, is like, this game is so goddamn good that it's kind of an anomaly. Like this quality of level of game, we don't see that often. So, and I think everything that's been shown, all the numbers, the concurrent users, it's been dominating Twitter and all these other games coming out, but now everybody's talking about Baldur's Gate 3. It's doing what Elden Ring is doing, and it's doing it at the same rate, you know what I mean, and in a smaller genre. I'd say the CRP genre is even more niche than what Dark Souls is. I'd even say it's further in the corner than what Dark Souls is, right, in my opinion. I know a lot of people do the tabletop thing. That's kind of loosely related to kind of Baldur's Gate. It's the same
popularity of D&D. The resurgence of D&D tabletop has obviously helped, right?
It's been massive. That's helped quite a bit too. The D&D ties as well there too. But ultimately, I mean, I'm a gamer, Pong, and at the end of the day, you got to give credit where credit is due, chat. That's the one thing we do here at the shop. That's one thing I'm big on integrity, and this is not an accident. Games don't do what this game is doing very often. And we got to remember, we got to make sure we take this into context. This game didn't really have a ton of marketing.
Nope.
Like this game didn't have no big push behind it. It was relatively like quiet up until maybe a couple months ago. Like we didn't know much about it's doing this within maybe like a 2-month window of being like a known like quantity. This is insane. Like people really got to take into perspective. Like this is going to change CRPGs going forward. And on top of that, you don't get the wave of developers pushing back against this game. That doesn't happen either, Pong. You know how many developers came out and said, oh, well, I mean, that's great and all. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like kind of throwing shade. And I mean, I'm a Diablo fan, but they even might have threw a little bit of salt. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, but just you don't get the kind of cachet this game is getting. You don't do what this game is getting. And I understand what that looks like, even though I've never played this game. I've watched a few videos. I've watched some people play it, a couple quick streams, things like that. The one thing that jumped out for me, and I know, Steel, you said it right away, the graphics. It's a beautiful game. It's a pretty game. Like, and I got eyeballs. I know what a pretty game looks like to me, from the environments to just the character, the character customization, down to the smallest details, down to the grass, the trees, all the different environments, the transitions between the environments, the transitions in and out of combat, the different ways to view combat from different perspectives, like all that little care stuff, like all that little small details that you just don't see in games anymore, Pong. You don't see developers take that kind of time to, and care to put into these kind of games. And that's really, really refreshing to see in a day and age where a lot of games are just microwave, right? Like we see developers just throwing shit at the wall. We see even large known developers and publishers doing it. Ubisoft, right? We see, you know what I mean? EA from time to time. So this is extremely refreshing. And I just want to make sure we give credit to Larian and what they're able to do. And another thing too, we got to be honest, but they were on that grocery list too, Paul.
They were,
so,
sir.
I mean, it might. So I know it might be one of them things like, oh yeah, now it's obvious you would buy them now, right? Like anybody can say that now. Like, oh yeah, this game is about to do 1 million concurrent users. Obviously, you buy it now. But I think Xbox knew what they were cooking up.
Oh yeah.
I think they knew what they were pretty high on that list too. I don't know if it was in any type of order per se, Pong, but they were pretty high on the list. So this just goes to show that like you can genuinely build if you stick to the script, and even a game feels niche. If you do it the right way, this doesn't happen very often. I'm not gonna say that this is gonna happen again anytime soon, but it seems to be happening more often just with the quality. And this is just another example. And just all credit where credit is due to Larian and what they're able to do. And this is definitely going to have big ripple effects in one way or another, Paul. You're going to see some copycats. You're going to see some studios probably taking some chances, maybe putting something out like this, just trying to maybe do what Larian's doing.
Yeah, I believe so too. I believe that down the road here, we definitely see some more people showing up with this type of game. And again, even if it's not to this budget, even if it's not to this level, trying to bring some of the elements of this game into their own games, right? And which will improve the genres overall. And that's what I'm excited for, right? And I said In Exile and Obsidian are two that could go big now with the success of this. And I think there'll be smaller studios that try, but just overall, the quality comes up on CRPGs, even the AA stuff, even the indie stuff, because they're going to be able to take mechanics that they find in this game and replicate those, maybe not, again, fidelity-wise, maybe not, to the CGI in this game, like all that stuff that's very expensive, but there's little things they could do that they could take from this that definitely could open up some new doors or make CRPGs in general be better.
Yeah, and real quick, Pong. I don't mean to interrupt, but I do want to stay corrected here because Calorie did end up doing a little bit of research because I was mistaken because I thought it was the full complete game that was released. He said you were only able to play up through Act 1, and that was all that it was available to you in
for the preview.
Access.
Correct.
Correct. Yeah, for the preview and whatnot. So, still, I still stand on all the sentiments that I made about that. Nonetheless. But I did want to stand corrected because again, I don't. If I said something I'm mistaken,
I'm sorry. I didn't hear you say that you thought it was the full game because I would have corrected because I got to one of the endpoints. Like it said, you can't go any further until the full release, right?
Yeah, I assumed that it was like a grounded scenario where you have the full game essentially available to you. They just are updating it or whatever over time, whichever the case. But again, it's all good.
No problem, man. Thanks, Calorie. As always, love when the chat corrects us. It's important that we get our information correct. So thank you for that. So Fuzzy, listen, I know you've been holding off, brother. You've been holding strong, man. You know what's coming. You got Starfield, you got Forza, you're in the middle of Diablo. Like you've got your games that you go back to and play. So you've been holding strong. But you have been peaking. I know you've been peaking so at this game. And again, I don't know your personal history per se with CRPGs or Baldur's Gate or anything like that. But again, just for you, Fuzzy, seeing the success out the gate for this game, it hasn't even been like kind of like a slow roll here. This has been like, hey, we're gonna launched this game, and all of a sudden everybody in the world was talking about it. Now there was a whole subsect that were talking about it because Xbox isn't getting it right away. Right? We know that. That was another driving factor.
That's a different conversation.
Yeah. But that is the factor that I pointed out about Starfield. Everybody talking about the negative is still marketing this game, right? It's getting more people interested. It was trending because of that, just like Starfield. So I think it's an interesting case study to watch these things happen real time. So there's been it just seemed like, hey, boom, we're releasing this game, and all of a sudden everybody was like, oh, day one. Oh my God, this looks incredible. Oh, bear sex, let's go. Pre-order, let's go. Like whatever the reasons were, it was like all of a sudden this ticking time bomb went off. Like something, we didn't hear it. We didn't hear it ticking. Like I knew about this game, obviously. I've been paying attention to it. PC realm has been too. But all of a sudden, the wider community all of a sudden woke up one day and said, oh, Baldur's Gate 3. Okay, let's go. Let's go. I've never played a CRPG before, but let's go. This game looks amazing. So for you, Fuzzy, who's somebody who's been peeking in and really holding strong, but somebody who I think definitely may touch on this at some point down the road, maybe even 2024. We'll see how things go. What are your initial thoughts on and kind of what has piqued your interest about this game as again? And then, of course, my second part of that question is what influence, if any, do you think this could have on the industry going forward?
Okay.
Whether it's CRPGs or even something different that I haven't thought about. Go ahead.
Well, I'll start off with what I consider somewhat of a negative, but trust me when I say this, it's only because I'm not as much of a fan of the turn-based type of RPG. Now, that being said, it's not going to prevent me from playing them. It's just that other things may get bumped ahead of it type of deal. But considering a couple of key things on the visuals on this, just the fact that they've gone to that extra mile for the cutscenes, like their level of cutscenes is what people were praising in like, what do you call it? Horizon Forbidden West. Now it doesn't have the glow on the characters like Horizon did, which I thought that glow was a little weird, but it kind of works. But the level of the cutscenes is above and beyond what you would expect from not only that genre, but just in general from a smaller studio. Now, yeah, they've ramped up to have enough people to kind of get this game going. But yeah, it's visually, it is better than what I was expecting. Now, that's not a knock on games like Wasteland or anything like that. But most of their cutscenes were like pictures where you're seeing the actual scenery, and then they'll go into like the dialogue picks type of thing without it being like in-engine type of stuff, which has been fine for new eons type of thing. But this new look, I think that will help moving forward what a lot of other studios, even if they're not doing a CRPG, might take a look at investing more time into the cutscenes, even if it's something that was meant to be more of like a visual novel, like I forget the name of the one game that it didn't come to it didn't come to Xbox. Crap. I'll think of it later, but it was like a game of the year contender like 2 or 3 years ago. And I can't remember the name of it now, but anyway, like that one was also more so like the pictures, the conversation in text. And that was as far as a lot of them have gone. So I think the influences, cutscenes will be more of a focal point on those, or at least that style of, or a style of game moving forward. I think we'll see some people or some studios kind of pick that up and kind of run with it. Now, outside of the visuals, just the fact, and this is going to probably sound weird, we don't get many mature games. Like you touched on it as far as like an adult game. And I think, what was it? Conan Exiles was one a while ago, but that wasn't really like adult theme. It was like, oh, you can adjust the anatomy. And it's like, and I'm pretty sure people bought it just for that. But it was one of those like different games than what you would normally see in the store. So something like that, like having a mature game that goes full mature and maybe some stuff a little less comfortable with, like not really looking for bestiality or anything like that. But the fact that they have those options in there means that someone has invested the time to not necessarily research it, but put all of the ins and outs as far as like the different dialogue, the different outcomes, the different things that as far as the interactions are concerned, having that in the game, from the persuasive language or persuasive conversations to build up with your partners or your squad or whatever, or people that you meet within the game or characters you meet within the game is nice, like as far as having stuff like that. Yes, I know it's a silly thing to kind of look at, but hey, if you want an escape from like the normal shooting game or sci-fi or zombie killing game, this definitely looks like it has that potential where you can go full fantasy, whatever you want, and it seems like it has all of the options to go along with it. Now, the combat aspects, like a lot of the stuff that I've been looking at, which yes, I'm not a big fan of the turn-based stuff, but
yeah, me
the advantage and disadvantage aspects, like what you were talking about as far as sneaking up, unlocking the door, then running away, somebody dropping grease, and then somebody slips and falls, the other person lights the grease on fire, and just stuff like that. And you can have another character pop them off or shoot the people or hit them with arrows or whatever the case may be. All of those different mechanics, as far as like if you're attacked, like if it's a surprise attack, you're at a disadvantage. If you're on the high ground, you have the advantage. All of those aspects being rolled into it, along with, like, I'm not a big tabletop person as well, but the die rolls also seem to add that extra layer where I know sometimes it may seem like it doesn't work in your favor, but other times it can work in your favor based on how you build your characters or the people you have in your squad, or how you, like you said, you strategize going into an area, or if whether you're going to go silent or sneak around the other side or go through the front door and just use your way of persuasion to convince people it's okay for you to be here even though you're not supposed to be, kind of thing. And just having all of those range of options that you want in an RPG is awesome. So those are all the things that appeal. The only road bump or speed bump for me right now is the turn-based stuff, but it's something I can get past. It's just right now with Starfield coming in like 30 days, well, not even 30 days, like 24 days or something like that, because I got the early access. I don't think I could binge enough unless I know life this game. That means I would have to do no podcasts, just eat, sleep, and play that game. And I'm not doing that. Might do that for Forza, but no, in all seriousness, no, I would love to play that game at a regular pace and not have to feel like I have to hurry up and get to a certain waypoint before Starfield launches. Like I hate binging the game because I may still enjoy it and all that stuff, but knowing that once I put it down for Starfield, I might not ever come back to that game, or if I do, it might be 3 years later or something like that. So that's one of the reasons why I don't want to, pick it up now, because I know it'll get buried in that backlog list. But there's a lot of things that appeal to me from that game, but Forza not too far after Starfield. Like Starfield is the one that I want to kind of binge, but the big thing with Starfield that will be probably different for me with Baldur's Gate is that the mods will definitely bring me back to Starfield. Right. I'm not sure how far the mods are going to go as far as for Baldur's Gate. I'm pretty sure there's going to be tons of mods. In fact, I think there was.
They've already done it. Yeah, you can have up to 12 players now.
Yeah. So with having mods like that, like I don't know. I just, it's an awesome game. It's awesome seeing all the concurrent players. And like I said in like the DMs, like it reached 700,000. I think FOMO is going to push it to 800,000 concurrent here pretty soon, like before the end of next week. And I'm pretty sure that's not showing all the sales because, 800,000 people playing at the same time, let's just say, there's still probably going to be a good number of people that bought the game and still haven't touched it or might not be able to play it until the weekends. So those concurrent numbers aren't going to show the total sales numbers. And I think this thing is, if it hasn't already hit 2 mil, it'll definitely be at 2 mil by next week. But it's awesome to see a studio like this get their flowers and with, minimal marketing as far as like the normal paid advertising. Some of the viral marketing or word of mouth and stuff like that is definitely helping. But when you put out a good product, no matter what it is, the word's going to get out. You put out a crappy product, people are going to talk about it and then avoid it. But when you put out a good product, it's going to draw more people in. And I'm curious to see when this thing comes to console, which, Yeah, I know the controversy of it not coming to Xbox in a weird way is a good thing, because I can't imagine how many people that are Team Xbox that would touch this game over Starfield. Like,
Yep.
I not saying that
Nope.
there isn't merit. I just think that it would be those that are into CRPGs would touch it.
Right.
And that's as far as it goes. And I don't know how big of a niche that is in the Xbox platform. So I think it would just get buried. And you would hate to see a game that has this much to offer get buried by another big game that has so much to offer. So
I agree.
In a weird way, it works.
And just to add on to the mod conversation, on nexusmods.com, there is currently 18 pages of mods for Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, wow.
And they also released a patch for all previous mods to be able to work full release.
Right. It's crazy.
Jeez.
It's crazy. Leave it up to the PC community.
It's going to be on the list. It's just not this year, probably.
Right.
It'll probably be early next year. Steam sale. Oh, hell yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, no. And I just, great thoughts from everybody. And again, it's tough because none of you have played it, but obviously the way we pay attention, I can get general thoughts from you guys on this, and I kind of want to see where you're all at. So I appreciate all that. I'll just wrap this up. I know we're running long tonight. Obviously, me and Steve always do this when we come on shows together. But the fact is that this game does deserve the flowers, like you said, Fuzzy. The big thing, I could sit here for an hour already. I could probably sit here for an hour or two describing scenarios I've already had in my first 17 hours of gameplay. I had a 25-minute battle today that I'd love to sit here and describe to you guys on. This game takes, an ACG put out a tweet about this. There has probably never been a game, and I can say this confidently in my first 17 hours, that have taken tabletop gaming and the options that you have, which are basically, pretty much limitless, depending on the dungeon master that you have running your game, and put it into game form in this way. This game does create so many different ways of strategizing. I know a lot of you probably have been watching videos of people, maybe watching streamers who have never played CRPGs before, that are just kind of like running like they would in a normal action RPG or even a JRPG, where you get your group together and you run up and you take on whatever's in front of you and you kind of work that way. This game allows you to ungroup your entire party and strategize throughout the map how you want to set things up. Fuzzy kind of alluded to one scenario that I had where I did that. The 25-minute battle that I had this morning, I've got 4 low-level characters. I was going against higher-level druids, NPCs, of course, but I had 10. I think there's 11 total enemies that I had to face off in this one area today. And I wound up not losing one single one of my characters, not one down. It took me 25 minutes, but the strategy that I laid out worked to perfection. And there is no feeling like that you can replicate in most games. It was unbelievable. I was having such a great time. I was with Jasper and Mav were in the party with me today, and they were like, "Is that battle still going on?" And I'm like, "Yes, we're on the same battle." But I was having such a great time. I was yelling out when things worked the way that I wanted them to work. That's what you get in this game, and I'm very early on, folks. There's a ridiculous amount of replayability. There's a ridiculous amount of customization. There is so many different mechanics at play and so many different spells and so many different actions that you can mix together and match depending on your party, that it's almost limitless. Like I said, the ACG pointed that out.
And there's co-op too, right?
And there's co-op too, which we haven't even touched yet. Right? So just Baldur's Gate 3, hats off to Larian, deserve every single bit of this credit. Game of the year. This is going to be in the conversation. There is no doubt about it. Facts are, I want Starfield to win Game of the Year. You guys know that. I believe Starfield has a great chance. I know Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is the front runner and probably will win. But wouldn't it be crazy for a CRPG to come out in 2023 and take the crown? I would be on cloud 9, even if it wasn't Starfield, if this game won it this year. This year's Game of the Year is going to be insane, folks. This game is blowing people away, and rightfully so. So if you get a chance to try it out, do so. Again, I know it's only on PC. It doesn't take a big, giant PC to run this game. You can have a great time in this game, even with a lower-end PC for sure. Otherwise, PlayStation's probably going to have a great version. And then hopefully for everybody holding off in the Xbox community, because there's plenty to play, don't pass this up whenever this drops next year. I think it's going to come out early 2024. Don't pass it up. Give it a try, even if you're not into CRPGs. I think you might like it. Just a great game. But thanks, brothers, for your thoughts, and sorry to take up so much time tonight on Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, it's definitely an interesting looking game. It's just there's just so many other interesting looking games coming out right around the same time. This is, like you've always said, the golden age of gaming, and it's definitely catching up with us.
Did we lose Fuzz, or did we lose PTK?
Yeah. His internet went out. So
looks like Paul's taking over.
Or Fuzzy knows how to take over too.
Well, I'm going to keep it quick because I know we've been here for a bit, but I'll just go over Gamescom. It's going to be Xbox's biggest booth this going around to Gamescom. They're going to have some playable games there. They're going to have some that are going to show like updated trailers, like Starfield being one of them, Forza being another, and
he's back. Let's go.
Oh, here he is.
Yeah, sorry about that. The internet cut out for a little bit. It was having some issues in the area. Sorry.
Yeah, Steel brought that curse over. See?
Yeah, right. Goddamn Comcast. Sorry, everybody. Go ahead.
No, but yeah, this is going to be Xbox's biggest Gamescom ever, and Aura is going to be another one of the games that has like a theater experience. And like I said, Forza and Starfield will be the other two that they have there. They'll have some playable versions of one of which being Stalker 2. But the big thing I wanted to talk about just in this regard is, with it being the biggest Gamescom that they've ever had, and a lot of the heads of Xbox are going to be there, do we expect any special or surprise announcements? Like there's a lot of stuff, like they've listed games from their showcase, like Payday is going to be there and it's going to be playable. They're going to have Senua Saga there for face paint and photo opportunities, but that's all they have listed. Sea of Thieves with photo opportunities and face painting as well, and spray tattoos. But as far as beyond what they list, do we think there's going to be any special announcements or unveilings or surprises at this showcase? I'll start with you, Steele. Anything come to mind that you think might make a surprise announcement or guest appearance at Gamescom this year for Xbox?
I'm going to say the one that Pong's probably knows exactly the one that I'm going to go for.
Of course.
Just because I wanted to become a reality very, very much so, because this series has been slept on for a long time. Mm-hmm. And part of the reason it gets me so excited for the IP this year, and that's Armored Core 6, is the fact that the game hasn't traditionally sold well. None of the past iterations have been able to sell 1 million copies even. Matter of fact, a lot of the information that we're able to find, a lot of it doesn't go beyond 500K sales. So it's quite unknown, and it's quite surprising because I thought FromSoft was put the franchise down. Mm-hmm. And I would love to see, because of the snafu that happened with Elden Ring, there was a lot of smoke, almost fire that was coming from that about Elden Ring possibly being in Game Pass. Fortunately, we saw how that played out. They didn't need it. But I do think that From Software does need to put Armored Core 6 in the Game Pass, because the game is already multi-plat everywhere. But if you make it available to an audience who traditionally, especially in the West, who have kind of poo-pooed or downplayed mecha games, like, sure, you have your few, like people go back to Mech Assault, people go back to Chrome Hounds, people go back to Steel Battalion. Like those are some of the few that like they get mentioned all the time, but those are much slower, much different, and not even in the same stratosphere type of game that Armored Core 6 or Armored Core overall is, not just 6. So seeing that be brought to an audience in the West and putting Xbox at the forefront, and saying FromSoft saying, hey, traditionally we haven't done well with this. I don't know if FromSoft has enough faith, just because, Elden Ring did well. That's also a very different formula. And I know they're doing some similar things and bring that over into Armored Core 6. but it's leagues unbound, a much different game. And I would just love to see as much of an audience, as many players as possible jump in there. The PvP gets cracking, because that's the main thing that's going to be about this. And Xbox has typically been the home of or the face, I should say, more so, for multiplayer gaming. And it would be really dope to see a game like this kind of reach back in the traditional roots of how we looked at multiplayer gaming back in the day. PvP, good story, just over the top action. So that would be my pick. Armored Core 6 in the Game Pass.
That would be awesome. Like, they're going to have it playable there as well.
Yes.
And when they made all the mentions of the listings of games that are going to be there, the way the list showed, it was like in the middle of other games that are going to be in Game Pass. So it would just be like a perfect fit to include that in Game Pass as well. But fingers crossed that they get that announcement or make that announcement there, because that would be huge, I think, as far as, this type of game, like you said, more of a niche. Not too many people picked up the previous versions of the game. So this would be a good way to get it exposed to the 30 million subscribers. And I'm pretty sure at this point, any pre-orders that are in, I would have to believe if I pre-ordered it, I'm probably not going to cancel just because I have Game Pass and it's in Game Pass, because I'm more than likely going to want to keep it for when after it leaves Game Pass. And who knows, you might get like they've done in the past where a game gets announced later. If you've already pre-ordered, I think you get like either a $5 gift card or some sort of like bonus points or things along those lines. So we'll see, but fingers crossed that happens. Pong, what about you as far as things you would like to see announced or a surprise that may appear at Gamescom this year?
Well, stole mine, obviously. I've been all over that, just like he has from the beginning. We've talked about that plenty here. I do think there's going to be some surprises. I don't think there's going to be any massive mic drop moments. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't think there's going to be massive mic drop moments. But I definitely think we could get some smaller announcements that I think could be a surprise. Maybe 1, 2, maybe 3. But I think that the presence alone shows what Xbox has got going on here. And again, who knows? ABK could be done by that point, which then changes the profile of Gamescom yet again. I don't know if they've maybe got plan A and plan B, depending on ABK going through or not. But I definitely think there could be some, I think for the second half of the year, as strong as it is for Xbox, which it's strong, right? Starfield, Forza, like that's gigantic. Maybe Stalker 2 slips into this year as well. If they're ready to rock and roll, that would be huge. We got Liza P coming as well this year. So they do have a pretty solid lineup. I still think they could sneak in a couple Game Pass deals. I think they could maybe announce some, third-party publishers, especially in Europe, since that's where Gamescom is, because they got TGS coming up, and we know Xbox likes TGS to promote the East. Now, the Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon with From Software, that would be more of an Eastern announcement, but because that's when the game's launching, it would make sense if you're going to do a surprise announcement for Game Pass or something to have it there. But I think they could have a couple more partnerships with some third parties over in Europe that they do bring forth, maybe the stuff that we weren't aware of, and showcase them there or announce them for the first time there. So yeah, I definitely think we're gonna have a couple surprises. Anything outside of Armored Core 6, I don't have like a specific guess for this one. I just think we might have a couple things that we weren't aware of. Again, last year, I brought this up on, I believe it was Xbox Ultimate. Last year, we didn't know Liza P was going to be there, right? And Aaron Greenberg tweeted or Instagrammed or tweeted out, because it was still tweeting back then, that picture from the show floor the morning of Gamescom. And remember, internet sleuths, being what they are out here, blew up that picture and caught the Liza P logo in the background, right? Right. So I definitely think they could be holding a couple things back. I know they put out a pretty big list, but I think they might be 1 or 2 things that sneak in there on that show floor, because it's going to be a big deal. Phil doesn't show up just to anything, right? So yeah. I think this is going to be a big one. Obviously, Starfield's huge. They're a week away from launch. They're going to have a big behind the scenes look at it, whatever the case may be. But I think there might be more there than just that. So that's where I'm at with Gamescom.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm hoping we get another one of those Aaron Greenberg photos, because that was I don't know if that was intentional or if it just was like almost like a Freudian slip kind of thing. Like,
you never know with Greedy.
You
never know with Greedy. Either he does something because he's just having a good time and he doesn't realize what he's taking a picture of, or being the marketing guy who's like, let's see how long it takes him to figure this one out. Right
on that one before it got to it got through the filter.
Either way, it looks good. It doesn't matter. You'll never admit it to it either way. So
exactly. So PTK, what do you think with this being their biggest Gamescom? What do you expect, or are you expecting any surprise announcements, or do you think we'll get any surprises?
Fuzzy, here's a specific, real quick before you go to PTK. Real quick, I just thought of one: Age of Empires 4 console edition.
Yeah,
could definitely be a surprise.
I know that was you got that from Mav. I know Mav said that way.
And I had said that previously. We've talked about a lot about this because Age of Empires 4 we knew it was going to be out on the floor, but it just popped in my head again. So yeah, Age of Empires 4 would be my one specific guess.
Yeah.
Do you think we get another trebuchet? I hope I'm saying it right.
No, not another trebuchet video. I think they learned their lessons there.
No, they bring out a mini one and be like, oh, just kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
exactly.
console. So PTK, what do you think that they may unveil, or do you think we get any surprises at this their biggest Gamescom ever?
I like both what Steel and Pong said. I think those are both valid assumptions. You know what I mean? I think obviously, Age of Empires 4. I know Mav and Pong have both been tooting that horn, so I'd love to see that, right? Just for the sake of it always like eluding console, right? Just due to the controls and just various different reasons. So I'd love to see that show up. Armored Core 6, that's one of those things we've been talking about for a while, Pong. You too as well, Fuzz. And I'd love to see, like you said, I mean, I know you've always looked at from the standpoint of the Elden Ring situation kind of fell through. They had the marketing deal, but it didn't feel like it never felt like it was actually a marketing deal. So they feel like they kind of own one on the back end, and maybe they reached out and grabbed that one. So that'd be cool. I'm thinking I'd love to see an actual like drop on the family plan. Like I'd love to see that happen. Like, this is a nice secondary event. I know we didn't get that at the main showcase. We all kind of thought we would, because it's absolutely a big enough announcement to be there. But even at a secondary event like Gamescom, I think it's relevant enough. I don't care if it's announced there. I don't think any of us would. I just love to see it come out and be available to us because I need it. You know what I mean? So the only other thing I can really think of that might be a surprise is I know they had the partnership with People Can Fly, right? And I know you made a great point, Pong, regarding that this is kind of their European event, right? Since it's kind of right in the heart of Europe, this is kind of their showcase for that market, right? So this makes sense, right? Maybe they announce it there. Maybe we get a title and some kind of little trailer. Maybe that'd be kind of cool, right? I'd like that. Maybe not any gameplay or anything because obviously it seems
really
like
early.
Splash
screen though.
Maybe a nice little, maybe splash screen, maybe a little bit of CGI, maybe 10 seconds. I don't know, right? So that'd be a nice little announcement. I don't know. I mean, outside of what you guys already said, I'm not really expecting anything big. I mean, they did say it was going to be a special show. That can be obviously interpreted a bunch of different ways. Some people look at that as like, oh, they're going balls to the wall. Like we're going to get some mega bombs dropped here. I don't know if we see that. But I do think we see some relevant announcements, right? I do think we see some, and maybe a left field one. Maybe we do get something like that Armored Core, the Age of Empires. It's not left field for us, but for the general, population, that would probably be a left field announcement. So yeah, I can't really think of anything else outside of that. Maybe some hardware stuff. I can't really think of anything on the hardware end. Maybe another Elite controller. Outside of that, can't think of anything else. Haven't they announced the Elite here before?
Yeah, they've either the Elite Core, I think they may have announced there, or maybe that was at the previous showcase. But they typically show new controllers because I know people have always made fun of them at Gamescom because they'll have like the bowl of controllers, or, the new design labs and things like that. But we'll probably get some sort of hardware piece there present at the showcase. So kind of cool to see what that would be.
Yeah, so that's pretty much all I got to say about that as far as what I think we might see there.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to go with my complete left field predictions. Like we already had like a surprise announcement at Evo like a day or so ago with the whole Iron Galaxy now working with Xbox now for Killer Instinct updates, like a new season and stuff like that, and more info will come. I don't know if they were saving Sunday, like the last day of Evo, for that more info, or maybe Gamescom they talk more about it, or like possibly a Killer Instinct too. But that's kind of the left field one. But one that, because of the location and because of the timing, and there's been some speculation of this being in the works or possibly being negotiated. Wouldn't it be special if, while in Germany for Gamescom, they announced that there's going to be a Rise Son of Rome 2, considering Crytek is located out there? So
that'd be
that's my tea
Like
leaves for the show. I'm hoping that's the case. I was also hoping the ABK thing would be wrapped up by now. I haven't checked to see if they've transferred the shares yet from the market price to the agreed upon price yet, but I don't think that's going to be done in time. Who knows? Things could change next week or the week thereafter, but it looks like the CMA is kind of dragging their feet for whatever reason. But I was also hoping that the ABK announcement will be finalized, and they can. I don't know if they'd do their roundtable with ABK until after the papers are signed, kind of thing. But at least have some of the representatives from ABK there, and possibly do an unveiling of Blizzard's survival game or something along those lines. But or maybe Hexen, considering Phil was wearing the Hexen shirt last showcase and stuff. But yeah, it's weird to me. Well, I won't say weird, but it's out of the ordinary for Xbox to have so many of their high ranking executives there, as well as the amount of booth space that they were going to have. They're going to have a lot of games playable, ones that we've seen in the previous showcases, ones we've seen on the ID at Xbox stage or showcase that they had not too long ago. And all things considered, it looks like they're starting to ramp things up with all of the games that are in the pipeline. And they always, Matt Booty always talks about, we got to just kind of figure out where we can start announcing or displaying some of these games. And I think this will probably be another opportunity where we may get to see one. Some hopes of seeing Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2 there, but they're mainly doing the face paint, or at least that's all they have listed. So it could be a surprise to see a new trailer, but I'm fingers crossed. Rise Son of Rome 2, Crytek working with Xbox. I don't think they're going to make any mention of an acquisition or anything like that, but at least that the licensing and all that's been secured, so they can go ahead and get that done and keep a lot of people happy for a new Rise coming to it. But thank you guys for your thoughts on that. Awesome. Fingers crossed that all these wind up coming to fruition. But man, looking forward to Gamescom as well.
Awesome. Great topic. And I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up on that note, man. We had a phenomenal night. The chat was amazing. Shout out to everybody even dropping in. What's up, Cyber? Jumping in late. What's up, T? That's jumping in late as well, too, man. You guys definitely watch it on the replay for sure. Front of beginning, man. Such a phenomenal show. And before we get out of here, I got to say, chat, you guys are amazing. Showing up every single week to support on the channel has been awesome. Thank you guys for subscribing and taking time out every single Saturday to come hang out with us. Once again, you can be anywhere, but you guys always show up here and show out at the Shop Podcast. But let's get to our round table here and let everybody get their goodbyes and everything like that. We're gonna start with you, Steel, our guest. Once again, I just want to say, Steel, awesome, bro. I appreciate you for hanging out, man. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
I know you didn't get your bars off early this morning. I had to reach out. I saw it. I'm like, you know what? I can't let Saturday go by without Steel and Pong getting the bars off, man. So we had a living split screen in the evening, man. But shout out to you for coming through, man, dropping some knowledge, good game and talk, man. But let everybody know where they can find you, brother.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you for inviting me again. Definitely was a missed part of my morning for sure, and I had to fight through some frustration today because of it. But hopefully, with the tech coming out and everything tomorrow, we'll get things fixed and we'll be back on that road. But yeah, you can find me, Steel Rain. That's Steel Rain. The T is a 7. Everywhere. Google's the easiest place. You just want to type it in there. Other than that, I am one part of a host of Living Split Screen, non-console centric platform, talking about everything going on within the gaming industry. Something that differentiates us from a lot of different people is that me and Paul tend to take that RTS approach, real-time strategy for those who don't know, and even more so, we take that ECP, that's that educated consumer perspective, because again, none of us are working in the actual industry. We're not devs, we're not lawyers, we're just gamers who have a hobby that we love, we're passionate about, and we try to just hit it from every angle that we possibly can, including our own professional real-life experience. So again, PTK, Fuzz, Pong, I want to greatly appreciate you guys for always being super welcoming, having great conversation every time that I come out this way, and you guys have definitely made my night for me. I greatly appreciate you guys. Y'all stay safe, and chat, y'all were on fire tonight. Appreciate y'all.
Awesome, man. Shout out to you, Steel, for coming through, man. I appreciate you guys. Go check out Steel on the channel. Obviously, you got to show a bunch of love and support to Living Split Screen, man. Hitting goals out here, man. One of the best shows. Get your Saturday morning started the right way with Living Split Screen for sure. But shout out to you, Steel, for coming through, family. Appreciate you, man. We definitely getting on the game after this for sure. So that's definitely happening. But no, shout out to you, bro. Appreciate you, man. Let me go ahead and throw this over to my two right-hand man, the people that make this show work, make me look good every single week. We're going to start with you, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere. Another great show. Chat was on fire as usual, man. But let everybody know where they can find you.
Oh, just always awesome being on here with you guys, and always awesome when we have Steel as a guest. Pretty much it's like part of the family, like the extended family between here and Fun Speculation and Living Split Screen. It's always awesome chatting with you guys. But man, oh man, looking forward to these upcoming games between Starfield and Forza. I think we're like less than 60 days away from Forza and less than 30 days away from Starfield. So it's getting serious. So be ready. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Please hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Always appreciate you guys checking us out and listening to us and interacting with us. For those that want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere, or pretty much any social media, Fuzzy Belvedere all together, one word. And then look forward to seeing you guys here next Saturday. Always a great time.
Awesome. Appreciate you, Fuzz. You guys go check Fuzz. I go follow him. All that information down below as well, man. Doing your thing over there, Fuzz. Go follow him. Check out all of the shows he's on as well, too, man. Appreciate you, brother, every single week, man. So last but not least, Mr. Pong Harvey, man. Another great show in the books. Chat was lit again. Great topics, man. It doesn't get any better. This is just we're getting numb to this, Pong. I fear we're going to get used to this, bro.
Yeah, we are. And it's great to get used to it, and
right, it's about damn time.
That's right. No, this is good stuff. I appreciate all of you, and obviously having Steel here tonight. Steel, brother, it was great to talk with you tonight, man. Since we didn't get to do it this morning that much, only behind the scenes, just you and me for the most part. But again, always great to get time in with Steel when we miss it, which is rare. We miss a Living Split Screen. It feels weird. It throws my whole day off and all that good stuff. And appreciate you, PTK, for getting them in here. And awesome talking with you guys. Of course, as always, Blam and Fuzzy, my brothers on Saturday night, the way I like to end it. And chat, thank you all for showing up and listening to me do a little PCMR talk tonight. Like, this is like Baldur's Gate 3 is like the first game really that I've talked about that isn't on console yet, right? So I thank you. I appreciate you guys listening to me talk about Baldur's Gate 3. It's coming to console soon. I don't want anybody to miss it. I'm a gamer at heart, and this game is just special to me already. So I appreciate you listening to me ramble on and have a whole topic about it and all that kind of stuff. So thank you all for being here. Nothing but love and respect for that. Listen, you guys know the drill. Pong Soul on the X, Pong Soul on Xbox. It's weird having to do two X's, but that's where we're at. So Pong Soul there, and I'll follow you back if you follow me. So join me there. Otherwise, next week it starts all over again. Tuesdays, Double Barrel Gaming, Mr. Boomstick, Mr. 13K, Xbox Factor Podcast, all good things green, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. He always has a awesome panel every Tuesday to talk about good topics, and it's always about the Xbox. So be there on Tuesdays. Thursday nights, it's PM in the PM Pong and Mav in the PM. That's right, Fun Speculations channel, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. We've been pretty steady 3+ hours. So Mav had to cut out a little bit early this week, but normally we go 3+ hours there. Just me and Mav, unless we have a guest talking all the good things of the week so far, catching up. So join us there. And then, of course, Friday nights back on Fun Speculation Channel, Xbox Ultimate, where we never know how many panel members are going to be there, but no matter who's there, we're going to have lots of laughs. We're going to have lots of good topics. We're going to talk a lot of gaming, but we're also going to talk about nonsense too. Some topics always come up weird, but anyways, be there. It's a good time. 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time every Friday night. And then, yes, like Steele said, my brother from another, he's going to get things right on his end. Again, tech sucks when it doesn't work and it brings everything down. But listen, Living Split Screen every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. Split Screen's all one word. We are still on Mission 1K. So be there. Tell a friend, bring a friend. Next week, we will be back and we're going to have a lot to say. I'm sure the community will give us another rant this week because they always do. But we're going to have a lot of gaming topics to talk about and catch up on as well. So be there for Living Split Screen every Saturday morning. Otherwise, it is the golden age of gaming, people. My God, if you don't have something to play right now, I don't know what to tell you, no matter what you're gaming on. Even mobile has got some freaking amazing games out there. So listen, it's the golden age. Play what you love what you play. And I'm going to talk to you all real soon. PTK Blam. Thank you, brother. Get us out of here.
All right, man. And last but not least, your host here, PTK Blam, man. Hit me up on like Buzz said, the app formerly known as Twitter, X. Follow me there as well too. You know, you'll be able to keep up with everything going on with the show, everything I got going on throughout the week, polls of the week, all of that cool stuff. As well as just my DMs are always open. You guys give me new ideas. You guys want to see anybody on the show, a guest, anything, always hit me up. I'm more than willing to reach out and talk back, and DMs are always open, so I appreciate that. And add me on Xbox. You want to play some games? We probably gonna be playing tonight, so hit me up. But other than that, amazing show. Thank you so much, chat. You guys are lit every single week. Go tell your friends about the Shop Podcast, the best place to be on Saturday evenings to get your gaming week all wrapped up. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week, same time, same place. Like Pong said, go play some damn games, have some fun, be safe. Peace out, everybody.